bagi pada Kotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini. Oh,
sedikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan. Last minute tu. Ada kat wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi, tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan 3 player for expert. Dan kita lihat bagaimana Berari menguasai kawasan di antara 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Fakir Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba depan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes sebagai jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 skuad saja lagi yang tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels dan Bloody sekarang. Oh, barai double break dilakukan oleh wah, itu dah knock berjaya dimeratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan Bloody sebentar tadi.
Triple kill. Shut down. Quadruple kill. Quadruple kill.
Dia secepil saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya bagi pada Kotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini. Oh,
sedikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan. Last minute tu. Ada kat wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi, tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan 3 player for expert. Dan kita lihat bagaimana Berari menguasai kawasan di antara 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Fakir Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba depan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes sebagai jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 skuad saja lagi yang tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels dan Bloody sekarang. Oh, barai double break dilakukan oleh wah, itu dah knock berjaya dimeratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan Bloody sebentar tadi.
Triple kill. Shut down. Quadruple kill. Quadruple kill.
Dia secepil saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya bagi pada Kotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini. Oh,
sedikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan. Last minute tu. Ada kat wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi, tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan 3 player for expert. Dan kita lihat pagoda merah ni menguasai kawasan. Di
Wow.
atas 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Fakir Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba depan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes di belakang jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 skuad saja lagi tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels kan Bloody Head sekarang. Oh, barai double play tadi dilakukan oleh wah, itu dah knock berjaya dimeratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan Bloody Head sebentar tadi.
Triple kill. Shut down. Quadruple kill. Quadruple kill.
Dia secepil saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya mereka pada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini. Oh,
sikit lagi.
Wow, berjaya menjatuhkan last minute tu. Ada kat wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Mengenai 3 player full expert dan kita lihat pagoda merah ni menguasai kawasan. Di atas 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Fakir Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba depan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes di belakang jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 skuad saja lagi tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels kan Bloody Head sekarang. Oh, barai double play tadi dilakukan oleh wah, itu dah knock berjaya dimeratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan Bloody Head sebentar tadi.
Triple kill. Shut down. Quadruple kill. Quadruple kill.
Dia secepil saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya mereka pada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini. Oh,
sikit lagi.
Wow, berjaya menjatuhkan last minute tu. Ada kat wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Mengenai 3 player full expert dan kita lihat pagoda merah ni menguasai kawasan. Di atas 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Fakir Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba depan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes di belakang jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 skuad saja lagi tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels kan Bloody Head sekarang. Oh, barai double play tadi dilakukan oleh Wah, itu dah knock berjaya dimeratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan Bloody Hate sebentar tadi.
Triple kill. Shut down. Quadruple kill. Quadruple kill.
Dia secepil saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya mereka pada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini.
Sedikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan last minute itu. Ada wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya meratakan.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan akhirnya mengenai 3 player full expert dan kita lihat bagaimana Berari menguasai kawasan di atas 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Fakir Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba depan sekarang ini.
Hello and welcome to Day 3 of the Free Fire MCP Majors Season 2. My name is Holler, and with me is the amazing Danley. How are you doing today on this fine Sunday afternoon, Danley?
Oh, I'm so excited. So firstly, it's a Sunday, which is the best day of the week. Secondly, we have Free Fire today. Thirdly, it's the MCP Majors. So of course I'm having a blastful, that's a horrible word. I'm just having a great day.
Yeah, I mean, you're started off with a bang. That's great to know. But okay, like yesterday we saw some pretty amazing games. What were your thoughts just overall on in terms of how yesterday went?
I think yesterday it was a bit of an eye-opener, right? I was fully expecting going into this week that we'd be seeing the same teams that dominated all their games last week. But coming into this week, we actually saw some of the underdog teams really starting to, I don't want to say they overperformed, they exceeded my expectations. And I'm starting to feel that the brackets are a little more balanced than I originally thought. Although I think Group A is still not there yet, right? I think we've all agreed yesterday that Group A is still on the weaker end of the spectrum, whereas all the firepower, it's in Groups B and C. And I still think SAF, they're beatable. It's just these teams are basically fighting amongst themselves whilst trying to chase SAF.
Yesterday, I learned a lot too. I did not know that you were so pro donut. That was a big learning from me. But another thing that I learned was that, hey, in Group B, you have probably one of the best teams out there, AKO Legend. They really stepped it up with technically 3 booyahs, even though only 2 counted them. But they ended up getting 65 points, which is actually pretty crazy. And they moved up 5 spots, and they are on the heels right now onto SAF right now. So this is a team to watch. They're going to continue, hopefully, to continue the reign. But when you're 100% in terms of your games and trying to get some booyahs, it's pretty good stuff.
Exactly. Now, as the teams are loading into their lobbies, we're going to take a look at the prize pool for starters. This is the league stage prize pool for people that don't remember. So these teams are going through 2 potential stages here. So we've got this overall league stage prize pool where all the teams are competing for money. Now, the next stage only applies to the top 12 teams. So unless you are in 1st to 12th place, you won't make it through. So if you're 13, too bad. It doesn't count.
Doesn't count, but you're still going to get some money. So you're getting 500 USD, thanks for playing type of thing. But you definitely want to be in the top 12 because that's where the real money's at. If we're talking about any sort of cash that you're going to have in, we're going to have the next slide that's going to be coming up. You're going to see the top 12 of those teams move on to this one. But you know what I mean? Even for the league stage, which is about 12 league days, You still have potential of winning some sort of cash. You definitely want to be in there. I mean, at this point, you want to get into the top 3. That's pretty much where the money's really at. But to kind of set yourself up, you know what I mean? You want to set the tone in the sense of, hey, this is the team that we need to look out for. And this is the final stage that we're talking about. First place is going to get you the whopping 15,000 USD. You definitely want that. And second place is, below half of that. So it's about 7,000 and so forth. But you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where, hey, if you make it to the big dance, that's great. But you really want to be, top 3, top 5, because that's where you're, getting your, all that hard work is going to pay off there. Yes.
Right? Like, you're getting the big paycheck. And I guess to make it even better is that if you do get first place, essentially this is 7.5 times more money than first place for the league stage. So it makes me wonder, are some of these teams just going to try and make top 12 but save the real strats for the final stage? Because that's where the big money's at, right?
True. And but the thing is that you got to kind of balance it. Sometimes
Yes.
you can have off days. Blacklist International, looking at you guys. Day 2, they were saving strats, or that's at least what we kind of came to the
We're
conclusion
praying.
on. But they showed up. They showed their strats, and they definitely showed a pretty strong hand, as they had a much better day 3. A second in terms of their groups. But if we're looking at the point system here, first place gets you that ultimate coveted booyah. You are the lone survivor of all of these different teams and so forth. Second place, you get 9, 8, 7, 6, and all straight down. If you're eliminated the first 2 teams, you're going to get 0 points. You're going to get the egg. Notice how I said that, as opposed to donuts. And each single kill that you're going to get is going to get you a point. So make sure that you get those kills so that it kind of adds into the, the placement points and just surviving. You don't want to be passive. Yes,
we saw it yesterday. So for people that didn't tune into yesterday, I believe it was ITX. What ended up happening was somehow this team managed to get 15 kills, and I believe they finished in 6th place. But even though they got knocked out in 6th, they still managed to sit at the top of the bracket because they had more points than everyone else. They hogged all the kills. So kills are, I would say, more valuable than placement points to a certain degree.
That's true, and it adds consistency to your team, right? You don't know what placement you're going to get. Sometimes you're going to get unlucky with a bad circle at the end. So you know what I mean? Just trying to hit your shots, being mechanically sound is the most important thing about this game. Yes, there's a lot of strategy in terms of how you want to move and all that, but getting those kills, if you're able to consistently score kills, you will be almost guaranteed in the top 8. Now, if we're looking at the schedule here, we're going to see nothing but Bermuda and Kalahari, some of my favorite maps here. We saw a lot of action yesterday, and so we're going to kind of alternate them through. We're going to start with AB, and then BC is going to be starting at 2:15, and 3:30 is going to be A versus C. So we're going to see all of the different teams. We're going to have a bit of a round robin, so make sure that you do tune in so that you watch your favorite teams.
Yeah, and I think we're going to have a bit of a quick morning as well, right? Because Bermuda, classic map, games are very fast on here. It's not like Kalahari and Purgatory where we don't really see the action until the final 3 to 4 circles. Whereas Bermuda, this is action-packed, and I think we saw this last week as well. The teams are going at it. I believe some teams are dropping in together. So it depends also on the confidence levels of some of these teams. But A versus B, I know a lot of people are going to be favoring SAF just because top of the leaderboard, team has been consistent thus far. I think a couple of times they've bombed out, but not enough to really push them down.
Yeah, so if we're going to look at the qualified teams, I mean, you talked about Group B a lot, but let me just give a shout out to Do Easy from Group A. This is a team that scored 34 points yesterday. They moved up a spot into 12th. They had 14 kills, though, which actually doubled their total kills from the past 2 play days. So this is a team that's really starting to turn it up, right? All you need is just kind of make sure that you get back into the game. Yes, you might have some off days or whatever, but play consistently. You know what I mean? You can be a little under the radar. You don't have to be getting all those booyahs, but getting those kills, very, very important. And they really stepped up yesterday, so I was impressed with them, as well as Bloody Head, who had 34 points yesterday as well. So those 2 teams to look out for in Group A.
Yeah, I mean, Bloody Head's biggest fan is casting today, so hopefully they're going to be able to perform for him, because I know us watching Bloody Head yesterday, they played a lot better than last week, and I think not only were we impressed, but we're definitely thinking of AJ in that regard.
Definitely will. And I mean, we talked about Group B, AKO Legend, just kind of topping it off with their SAF. We already know PXG, these are top teams you need to be careful about. Group C, on the other hand, Almighty, they had 53 points. They got their first booyah of the league. So this is another team that's starting to rise at the right time, right? These are the teams that, Group C, we talked about it being the group of death. They've done quite well. So this is a team. It's very difficult to get any sort of booyahs, kills, and all that. But getting yourself back into this game, that's what you need to do. And they stepped up into placement 7 right now.
Yes, and of course we do have the overall standings for the league stage. Now, as we all know, Supreme Assault Forces leading with 177 points. They are way ahead of the competition right now. They're about 30-ish points ahead, and it's going to be very tough for anyone to really contest SAF unless someone's able to shut them down during some of these rounds, which almost seem impossible at this stage. I mean, AKO is getting pretty close with 148 points, but this is banking on the fact that SAF do not dominate their games today.
Mm-hmm. AKO Legend, I mean, they moved up 5 places. They were the biggest mover yesterday, right? So yes, you're on the heels of SAF. Kind of difficult to do because they're so far ahead, but you have a chance and you're definitely within stone throw of that. The other one that was big, again, I talked about Almighty, but they moved up 3 spots. They're definitely closer into the action. They're in 7th right here, which is prime position, considering the fact that, hey, you can go up or down, but at least you have a little bit of a buffer so that you don't get knocked out. You have a chance to the grand finals at that terrible spot of being in 12th.
Yeah, I think another team that we're not really talking enough about is Wheels. This is a team that plays under the radar. You don't really see Wheels being that team that's super flashy, but they're very good at picking those opportunistic moments. So I think if there's another team you want to watch out for, I think it'd have to be Wheels.
Yeah, they did not have the greatest game yesterday.
No.
But again, I think the teams to watch, we've hit on all of them, right? Supreme Assault Forces, you have Forbids. I think he had an 8-kill game yesterday. Just an absolute monster. Someone you need to respect. AKO Legend, we know this is a team stepped up big. This is the way you want to do it. And PXG Radicals, a little bit of an off day. They actually lost a spot, but in terms of pointage, I think they scored about 40 points yesterday. So
yeah,
still enough to keep on being consistent. Make sure that you're in the top 3.
Yeah, but if anything, all eyes going to be on SAF today. We're going to have to just see if AKO Legends or even PXG Radicals, can they catch up and take that first place away? Because I think SAF, they've been in first place for every single day thus far.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they've been on point, but I'm wondering when SAF are going to have that off day. We have not seen that in the league, which is actually pretty crazy considering the number of matches. I mean, we've had 12 different matches and they've been on top. I mean, yeah, you have like a slightly down day, but like every single day their lead is almost gaining, it's just increasing. So it's very difficult to catch up to this team.
I think their lead is currently consistent. I believe last week as well, they were leading it for about 30 points, and they just maintained their position yesterday. So it could be today, maybe it's next week, or it might just be a case of the teams banking on the fact that SAF get a very tough group during the shuffle. We don't know at this rate.
Okay, so in terms of just teams to, who needs to step up? Who do you think that you need to kind of just arrow in on? There's not a whole lot of time left. I mean, yes, we've had 3 play days, but, what is that team you're kind of like, I'm a little worried about these guys. Do they even have a chance to get into the top 12?
I'd say this would apply to any team that falls into 10th and 14th place, because I feel like this section of the bracket, it's the closest and most realistic area for teams to catch up. If you fall to 15th, you're starting to get a little bit too far. You're going to have to really play it safe. But yeah, anyone, even at the end of today, if you're falling in 10th to 14th place, you're not safe. I think, if anything, it's the most vulnerable position to be on the leaderboard right now.
Mm-hmm. And 12th place is Bloody Head right at the moment. They have 80 points. Do Easy is 12 points behind in 13th place, right? If that gap increases, I mean, do we just say goodnight to these teams? Do we just send them home? Because 12 points, it seems almost like a insurmountable mountain to climb at this point. But I mean, yeah, we have like 9 or so more play days, or sorry, not that many, but we have more play days ahead of us. But I'm just really worried about these teams just really falling off the radar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the bracket right now. I think Do Easy's in 13th place right now, but the gap between Do Easy and Bloody Head is actually quite big. It's about 12 points, and 12 points is a lot this far down the bracket. I mean, people are talking about, 30 points, 20 points, but I'd say 12. 12 points in a play day is a big deal.
Yeah, let's try to catch up, but it's like baby steps, right? But speaking of, giveaways and all that stuff, it's going to be the Duke Swallowtail AWM box. We're going to have a code that we're going to be flashing throughout the stream. The thing is it's not first come, first serve. Anybody can actually redeem it. We're going to have multiple codes throughout the day, but the only stipulation is that you must redeem it by the end of this stream. So you're going to see that throughout. I'm not going to tell you when, so just keep your eyes out for it. But again, you can take this. Everybody gets a chance at it. Take a screenshot, share with your squad mates, let everybody know that, hey, this is a free skin that we're giving away. And this is Free Fire's 4th birthday, so it's an anniversary. And so what better way than just giving out free skins?
Absolutely. So make sure you stay tuned onto the stream, because if you miss out on the code, oh well. All right, so our first map is going to be Bermuda, and it seems like the game is ready, Hauler. Are you excited?
I am. I was born ready for this. Nonetheless, let's go to the casters. AJ Mustachio and Husky, take it away.
Thank you very much to our lovely host, Danley and Hauler. Yes, AJ, it's good to have you back on this broadcast. And one of the first things I want to point out, Danley was very worried about the teams from the 10th to 14th place. And I just had to put it out there, the gap between 10th place and 14th is 44 points. Yeah. So that is a lot. But I think everyone is starting to catch up of how important every single point, every single kill is in this game. And today we'll find out at the halfway point which team still has the chance.
Yeah, and this is the beauty about Battle Royales. This is the beauty about the teams that are in here for the MCP Majors. Any one of them can pick that Booyah up. Any one of them can get into that final zone. Picking up 12 points from the Booyah is going to be great, but they need to be able to rake up some of those kill points as well. I mean, you've pointed out in the past already, Husky, that, you know, your differential between your positioning as well as your kill points cannot be too far apart. You want to keep it as close as possible on the leaderboards. And that's exactly what a lot of these teams are struggling with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we have to take the worst performing team up to this point, you know, you look at Addict Max, they have 38 points, but 33 of those points came from placement. So they have 5 kills across 12 rounds, which is obviously, you know, when your average kill is less than less than 1 per round. That's something that they have to work on. But thankfully, there's a lot more opportunities down the road for them to at least try and squeeze into 12th place. But in 12th place is where, you know, even after half a year, we still come back to this team. Bloody hit, definitely better than the last major, but they're still not out of the hot water just yet. 12th place, very vulnerable. We'll just see if they can put off a better run today.
Yeah, these guys are an all-engine, man. They take a little time to warm up, and we've seen exactly what sort of decimation they can bring onto these lobbies after they've finished warming up, right? But now the biggest pain point here is they're going to miss out on all of those initial points, and starting your momentum late into the group stages is not going to do you a lot of favors. Even if you do manage to scrape through, you know, it doesn't really guarantee where you're going to be at the end game, right? But that's exactly what makes a team like Bloody Head so dangerous, because after they've warmed up, if they manage to scrape through and they get into the finals, dude, they're definitely going to be a team to watch out for, Husky.
Yeah, absolutely. And yesterday we also saw a lot of teams really stepping up. And I think one of the teams that really caught my eye is AKO Legends, because AKO Legends in the previous majors, they were known as Legend Rumble, and Legend Rumble didn't make it into the grand finals. They finished the group stage in 14th place, very far behind STP Son of a Gun, and the 12th place team at that point of time was Views. Yeah. Now look at these two teams in top 5 of this major. So far looking so good. And I definitely am interested to see if they can continue that run. But what I've been seeing so far is at least from AKO Legend, the growth was definitely paying off.
And let's see whether or not they will continue to be able to, you know, climb up the ladders, because SAF has been just so consistent throughout the whole group stages, and no one has been able to shake them up truly, right? And yes, we did have the teams to watch. I don't agree that those are the teams to watch, because technically those are the top 3 within the leaderboards itself. We need to keep our eyes peeled for 4 X-Men Expert, because they started off this whole group stages really well, and they've been doing okay, but okay is just not enough, right? Because at the end of the day, they want to aim for that number 1 spot. And, you know, back at the FFMC, we saw them have quite a late start. in the MCP majors, it's a little bit of the opposite. They had quite a great start and then slowly died off with all of those momentum. Well, hopefully they can find it back in here today. Unlike Bloody Heads, who just got marks snuffed out there, Husky.
They're definitely not strangers. No strangers to these kinds of encounters. But for Bloody Head, it sometimes it feels pretty evil, for us to feel this way. That it wouldn't be Bloody Head if they don't have moments like these where they get knocked out first. But realistically speaking, I think overall, even though they are not in the clear just yet, the fact that they have shown that growth is something that I personally appreciate a lot. We saw a lot of roster shuffle throughout the break, right? From the locally FFPO and FFMC during that gap before this MCP. I'm loving some of these acquisitions, like Ray Meow in PXG. I think PXG Radicals picked up a wonder child, and this is why they're in top 3. Not to say that everyone else isn't up to par, but the fact that you got the best player from VPH Velocity 6 months ago is a prized possession.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, and look at him just blaze through, right? He's keeping up his end of his bargain. Blacklist International, on the other hand, they got picked up by a big brand, but ever since they got picked up, the shine seems to have dulled a little bit, right? And the players have been tanking it quite well. They haven't been able to find a little bit of their old shine back in here, similar to what we saw at the MCP majors in season 1. Hopefully, we see them step it back up, right? Because sitting down in that 4th position, 134 points. Supremos are not too far away if they put their mind to it, Husky.
And I remember we were setting our eyes on SAF during the season 1 of this major, right? They squeezed in 10th place. We had no doubt that they could do it, but we just did not know the extent of how good they are. And then come the grand finals, they finished in 4th place. And I think that 4th place became the benchmark for people to judge how good this team actually is, simply because they were only 6 rounds in the grand finals. Now look at them. 1st place, leading by, I would say, a mile. The gap between them and AKO Legends is 29 points. That, in an even playing field, that could be just one full play day worth of points. And I think SAF, they have not slowed down just yet, and they're not looking to slow down.
Yeah, and AKO getting very, very close to the players from Enigmax, and the firing has already started. He needs to be a little careful, whoever it is, the one who is shooting at the players from Enigmax, because he seems to be attracting a little bit of attention as well, Husky.
Yeah, and I think Enigmax, they definitely went through a huge roster shuffle. The only remaining member from the Enigmax All-Stars that we knew was V2. And they didn't qualify for the finals of FFMC. They had to play the qualifiers for this major. And so far, Slumber will take a nap, at least for now. Thankfully, Lonesome will be able to get him back up. But they are under fire from AKO Legends, a team that is looking for that 1st place finish. So this is going to be a tough fight. But I think Enigmax, they have to start taking these fights.
No, yeah, and let's see if or not they are able to respond well, right? Because the next zone is with the side of Enigmax. AKO starting off a fight which I am afraid they might not be able to finish, because even if they do continue this battle with Enigmax, the third party is going to be snuffing them out, and the players from AKO, they are heading in straight up for trouble. Enigmax will potentially just turn out to be the ones that actually third parties this fight, and I don't think they know exactly what they've brought onto themselves. XBR, on the other hand, finishing off the Bloody Head so early on. And this is a lesson that Bloody Heads just don't seem to learn, is it, Husky? Pick your drop zones a little bit better. I mean, from MCP Season 1 all the way to Season 2, they bring in this exact same habit.
You gotta be fair to them. I think this time they got chased down by XBR. But I do agree, they sometimes share the same drop zone. And this was something that I discussed with Neptune yesterday. I was saying that Bloody Head during the first season of MCP, the day that they performed best was the day that they played fearless. They turned out the brains and they just pull the trigger on the teams that they see. And when they become tactical, it feels really bad. And Rory is gonna make Ipan look bad because that grenade is gonna land through the glue wall, and SAF, they're not gonna let go. And we know about this. Do Easy is a team that needs to catch up, but judging from how things are so far, SAF about to hunt them down like a SWAT team. That's the second one down. Let's Go does get knocked, but it doesn't matter. SAF is just too good. They're gonna wipe out the first team of the league.
McRory's way too good, bro. What a response. Goes in there for the pickup as well onto Let's Go and manages to put out the very final person out of misery there. Beautiful plays, and we will be able to see SAF fly through because of McRory mainly. I mean, he's been a star player from day number one. And you know what? Before we move on any further with SAF, right? I know this team's not going to be playing just yet because they're in Group C. Fast Kill MY. I remember saying that, these guys are going to start off hot and then fall off the radar. Dude, when I took a peek at the standings earlier on, they were sitting down on the 8th position. What in the world? I don't like it that they are making me sound good by being accurate, but these guys need to step it up because the inconsistency of their plays are going to be very, very risky to continue on, man. From that 8th spot, the 12th position isn't too far away. And on top of everything else, they don't even get the chance to participate in these first 2 rounds, whilst all of the rest of the teams continue to step up their points.
Yeah, I mean, Fastkill, they still have 2 guys from the original Fastkill roster that we saw in the first season. I think, Yun and Ali, they have been around for so long. The fact that they're in 8th place, I personally am not too worried simply because I know how we both know how Fastkill plays, right? That we watch FFMC and we look at them like I remember the very first round that they played, they went on a killing spree. They basically monopolized the whole lobby, like almost 20 kills. And for the rest of the season, Fastkill was kind of more of a history than a team that has actual threat. So hopefully this is going to be different. So far, it does feel like it. Sure, they're not in the top 5, but considering the circumstances, considering the teams that are playing, Fastkill, they're doing just fine.
Just fine's not enough, man. I mean, we know the potential from this team because of exactly what you just said, Husky. They literally monopolized the whole of that lobby in the first week of FFMC. And then after that, there were just bouts of supremacy here and there. Very, very inconsistent. But whenever they were bringing on their A game, these guys were formidable out there on the battlefield. There's just something within the squad that's causing these inconsistencies. And they need to find it and fix it immediately, right? Because once again, that 12th position is not too far away, and you need to look at the teams that are behind them. You've got Freedom Rumble, you've got Metrics, Tactical Intex, as well as Bloody Head, and all of these boys have been consistently stepping it up. Except Freedom Rumble, I'm surprised that they are in the 9th spot. But you know the quality of Freedom Rumble as well, right? They are going to be able to switch things around in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, and if you want to find a team that is same as Fastkill, you'll have to look at Freedom Rumble because they almost play the same style. Freedom Rumble loves to rush just like Fastkill, but the good thing about Freedom Rumble is that they do it better. They're already down 2 members from the opposing side from PXG, and they're about to find a 3rd. In fact, Insanity doesn't get to escape, and not Barbar as well. They are just getting wiped. And Freedom Rumble, they do it quick, and this is what we know them for. When we compare Freedom Rumble and Fastkill, you just have to think of it as Fastkill as a team that is kind of like Freedom Rumble's doppelganger, but they are lacking in the tactical department, which is why you see these 2 teams share almost the same position, one in 8th place, one in 9th place. But I think in the long run, Freedom Rumble still display a bit more potential. I remember, someone asked me if there's a team in Malaysia that should be acquired by an organization, and given that structure, which team would I suggest? And the first team that came to my mind was actually Freedom Rumble, because I believe that these guys, if they just put a bit more time into crafting their approach, they could be a really good team. I would go as far as to say that if they just put that little bit time, if they are given a bit of more structure in the team, they can easily overtake teams like Blacklist International.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you, man, because clearly these players, they are showing us they've got the mechanical capability, right? Because speak of the Devils, just as we were mentioning their name, they pop up on the screen and they go in for that quick wipe. And that's exactly what they're capable of. And you are right. They do exactly what Team Fastkill can do, but a little bit better with more consistency. And yet, both of these Malaysian teams that have so much of promise they sit in that 8th as well as 9th spot. The Philippines, which has, brought in so few teams into the MCP majors, they are hogging the top 8 positions up there with a total of 4 teams, right? I mean, SAF, PXG, Radicals, Views, as well as Almighty, they have been stepping it up. And the one team that has been definitely shocking me in the competition so far has been Almighty. What a change, and what a way to pick all of that pace up. And hopefully they can continue it today as well.
Yeah, and the 3 out of 4 members were from Divinity in the first season, and the fact that and I think Neptune made a good point yesterday. He said that Almighty still has some remnants of Divinity, where they play this very passive approach, right? They wait for you to come. They have one of the best snipers, Batman, and he still has that within him. He still wants to play long range, but I think their approach to certain situations has certainly improved. They are willing to take those close range fights a bit more often. Yesterday they had one horrible round where they were just waiting and nothing happened. They got wiped, and the next round they were the one rushing into teams like Freedom Rumble. They were taking out a lot of guys, and this is why they're in 7th place. In fact, for the Philippine regions, they have to be feeling really proud about themselves. You bring in 5 teams, and 80% of them are in top 8. That is a huge accomplishment.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is huge, man. I mean, we've always known the Philippines, unfortunately, the kryptonite to Malaysians. When it comes to esports, they do it slightly better, but that's exactly where the whole challenge is, right? And that's exactly where AKO, teams like 4X-Men, Expert, Blacklist International, they have to step it up and carry the Malaysian flag on their backs and just go in all the way. Because SAF, I mean, look at their consistency. Nothing has been able to shake them, even though day 2 from week number 1 wasn't the greatest of plays from them. Zafnu getting taken down by Lawton, and it's going to be the NXMax All-Stars taking on this fight. Perhaps it will be a situation where ITX can overcome because they've got the vantage point here, Skate.
Yeah, but for NXMax, they also have an advantage, which is the circle. Unfortunately for ITX, they can stay for a while longer for sure, but in 25 seconds they will definitely have to make their move. And this is where, if you're in NXMax's spot, you want to make use of this. Although I mentioned that they should get those kills, I'm also fine with them just not being too aggressive, because you kind of are in an advantageous position. In fact, compared to ITX, I would side with NXMax anytime. Just the question is, can they hold this off? ITX, they're going to move away from that area. Very smart move, but they're going to move straight into AKO Legends if they continue down this path.
Yeah, I was thinking AKO was going to be the third party there, but thankfully it's not going to happen. AKO moves away, or at the very least it seems to be the case, right? We see those players backing in and out. Deco seems to be the one and only player from the side of Auto Knockout out in the open, and I believe he has not gotten taken out just yet. I thought he went missing because he got knocked down, but no, the guy is still alive and kicking, but a little bit more should be enough to do AKO in, and it looks to be absolutely fine because ITX, they take their sweet time and now they have to battle against the zone, but they move directly towards the side of NXMax all over again. So I don't think this is going to pan out well for ITX.
Yeah, and AKO, they are only down to decos. So I wonder what happened. I don't think we saw what went on between them, but the fact of the matter is AKO Legend, at least they won't be able to have too much of a presence in this opening round of the day. But you can't say the same for SAF. They are they are playing so confident, right? You see the circle, it is wide open for the taking, and SAF, they are just hovering around the outskirts, just carrying on what they have already shown us 6 months ago. You mentioned early on that McGrory is a superstar. Sometimes I look at McGrory and I confuse him with the character from Cars, McLaren. What was it, McLaren? But you get the idea, he is the race car, and Trix also wants to prove that he is a superstar because Black gets shot from behind, and ITX, they want to go for the execute. Now does lose his life because SAF 4-bit's gonna poke his head in. SAF wants the kill. A Blade also starts a fight off screen. XAF McRory has that grenade launcher, and B2 is gonna be caught. In fact, Supreme Missile Forces are showing why they are the superior team. They are taking on 2 teams at once.
Oh, absolutely, man. And SAF is going to be the biggest winner here. ITX going in for the finisher. Beautiful nade flying through from the side of SAF. NX Max have been eliminated already. ITX, they have got the upper ground. They've got the better side of the chip so far, but it's not going to last for very long, right? Because SAF now might be able to ask those questions if they can finish off XBR. XBR now getting taunted by the zone. Will now get snuffed out. Cannot Brain has been eliminated. McRory is really low on his HP. Zet will be able to bring in all of these shots, and SAF get put out of commission as well. ITX as well as Zet contributing to this.
Yeah, and it's all Monarch with the perfect high ground, taking out SAF as they try to ascend that mountain. Umbrella Reborn also lose their life, but there's one team that is here to crash the party, at least to do a bit of scouting first. It's going to be Freedom Rumble, a team that just does things a bit better than FastQMY. And now without SAF, without PXG Radicals, Blacklist International not in the game just yet. I think Freedom Rumble has a really good chance of getting that first booyah.
Yeah, and let me also point this out. AKO is not in here as well. Remember what I said? Those 3 teams that were to be watched out for? Yeah, we don't need to have our eyes on them. We need to see all of the others who are catching up to that #1 spot. Because like you've already pointed out, Husky, each and every single one of these squad here, they bring in crazy amount of talent into MCP Majors Season 2. And now the fight for the next circle is not going to be easy at all. Zet Monarch going in for the drop. It's such an open field! And Zapnu takes him out onto the ground now. Mona can get picked up. The backup coming from Blade as well. Argon on towards the left. They don't have much of the defense here. They pull out those glue walls. They close in the gap. But this is just going to be all-out pandemonium, Husky.
This is going to be Freedom Rumble's time to shine. Norin himself gets the triple kill. You see the grenade launch is flying out. Piroyo is actually going for the push onto Cobbs. Out on fire with Cobbs. Does get knocked down as Zeph continues to slowly inch forward. They're gonna break down those blue walls. 2 separate fight happening on the screen right now. Freedom Rumble does win at the fight against Argon MY. And the best part, no one from that team goes down. Look at the kill count that they have. 11 in the back, about to be more. It's down to Freedom Rumble against Zeph. 4 against 4. Can Freedom Rumble do this? Zeph wants an upset, but Freedom Rumble wants to win. Vegeta is also down, but Mornak also gets knocked. Freedom Rumble going in for the kill. It's down to Blaze and Cobbs. They're switching members. They're tag teaming. Blade pulls out the side, but he loses against the gun. The gun is better than the knife. And this time it's Freedom Rumble that wins the booyah.
Wow, what a play, man. Dude, we were looking at them from the get-go. Freedom Rumble, that one brand that was banked to, step it up. Drags, Orin, Cobbs, Apam, as well as Vegeta. They managed to pull it through. And 106 points. They started off the day today. They are most definitely going to climb up quite well. Potentially into the top 4 with that performance, Husky.
Yeah, and let me tell you one of the best things I like about Freedom Rumble. It's not just their playstyle, but it's also because they got one of the best transfers during during the shuffle. They got Orient and Vegeta from Legend, 2 guys that we really kept our eyes on, and I cannot believe that they are now under Freedom Rumble in a very good way. But let's bring our host back and see what they have, what they thought of that very first round. Danali and Holler, welcome back.
Welcome back, guys.
Oh, that was... Oh, there's my cat tree. That was such a good game. It almost felt like it was scripted and it was set up for Freedom Rumble to win, right? Like SAF gets knocked out, ITX gets knocked out. Basically, all the big dogs get knocked out, which means... I wouldn't say it was a free round, but it was a very open round for them to take. And they definitely took it. They took it like this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the big dogs most definitely fell quite early, and we don't know why is that so, right? Could it be the overconfidence? Could it be the pressure as well that they needed to look for those kills because they know exactly how demanding this competition is? I mean, look at the rankings, right? You've got so few points between all of them. SAF, yes, they are clear at the top, but just one good round from any of those second or third spot can, easily catch up to them. Isn't it right, Holler?
Yeah, and it was kind of weird because we talked up, or at least I did. Dooeasy and Bloodyhead from Group A, they were doing really well. They got knocked out early. They got 0 placement points for that. But a big shout out to Zeth Squad. They got second place. This is a team that we have not talked about much because they've been eliminated early. But having the fact that they were in second place, this is going to be a massive win for them. They really needed this game being in that somewhat disastrous Group A.
Yeah, Husky, because this is something that we usually throw into the mix a lot as well, right? The fact that you just cannot know what happens in a battle royale. The RNG gods throw in their hands into the mix all the single time, and we see results like this. We see teams that we don't really expect in that final circle, and sometimes they manage to pull it off as well.
Yeah, sometimes.
So I kind of. Oh, sorry.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Husky, you go first.
When you look at Group B and C, the teams kind of play for themselves because they are considered one of the better teams in this league. But I think Group A right now, they're playing for the pride of the group. Again, all the teams in Group A are from the qualifiers. There are no direct seedings. So I agree with Holler. I think Zeph's squad is a team that we didn't touch on much. But the fact that they did finish in second, regardless of the amount of kills that they got, that will really catapult them closer to the 12th spot.
Yeah. Yes, Danny.
So I wanted to bring up a bit of a discussion point here. So especially during this round, all the teams were basically playing on the edge of a hill. How big of a factor was it that some teams already had the positional advantage by being at the top of the hill, whereas some teams, I think in the case of SAF, were open for fire because they were at the bottom of the hill? Like, was it a positioning, a positional case that SAF got eliminated early?
Yes, definitely.
Yes and no.
Yes
and no, because yes, because we always look at those vantage points. It's always easier to look down than it is to look up. But at the very same time, you had no compound to hold at all, right? You only have literally the trees around you as well as glue walls. And if you expand all of your glue walls at that point of time, then you're not going to have any for the final zone. And by the way the zone was moving, you need the glue wall for the final battle, right? So SAF just got stuck in a very, very difficult position. They should have known better to play the compound a little bit better, right? I mean, we saw the side of ITX taking this fight up against Enigmax. Enigmax also had the upper ground. ITX had the compound onto them. Enigmax went in for the approach, but who stepped out of that victorious, right? At the end of the day, if you hold on to the compound, you get a little bit more access to the, defensive positions. You don't get out in the open, Danny.
So what do you think, Husky? Do you have anything to add, or?
Sometimes it's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate when you have an area to play around and then the circle decides that you shouldn't be there for too long. For SAF's cases, because when it comes down to a game of Free Fire, slopes isn't really the biggest deterrent. It's more of how the game mechanic works. It doesn't matter if you're prone or not. People will still see you if they're on high ground. So the only tool that you have is either the glue wall or the time turner from this character called Chrono. Without those two, you are most likely going to get shot while running uphill. And for SAF, it was just how the circle ended up going, and it's also because of how unfortunate that circumstances was. I think if the circle didn't really force them to go uphill, SAF would have had a better chance of winning.
So in this case, it was more of just an issue with the circle for some of these teams getting knocked out early.
Yeah. They kind of got forced to go uphill, right? So when you go uphill and then someone was waiting there, like to a certain extent, you have to surrender yourself to fate, especially when you run out of utilities. It's just the nature of the game. It's battle royales. Sometimes these kind of things, they do happen.
Yeah,
I think
but it comes down to time management.
Sorry, go on, Mr. Shu.
Yeah, I was about to say that's all down to time management as well, right? You know exactly how long each and every single zone is there for. You need to start moving a little bit early. You need to start to plot out your path. And if you don't, you technically force yourself into a situation where you get caught out by the zone. And that's exactly what breaks down on it.
All right, if we're looking at the round standings of that match one, Freedom Rumble with 14 kills. That's pretty crazy. And they got the Booyah. Tactical Intex, I mean, they got 7 kills. They got 8 placements points as well. But this Zeth squad, they survived. They got only 4 kills. But at the end of the day, if you're able to play Possum, you're able to just kind of stay to the late game, you're going to get your point. So pretty big shout out to them. But to your point of Supreme Assault Forces, I feel like this is like a mechanically sound team. They're very strong in terms of they're doing it. But I felt like there was a little bit of overconfidence. Going uphill in a battle is just usually not what you want to do. You probably need to skirt the circle a little bit more, but at the end of the day, you still ended up with 12 points, so not the worst thing for SAF.
Actually, something I do want to talk about is Zeth Squad's points for this round. So I believe, so it is about 13 points. I'm taking a look at the brackets from the overall standings. No, they're really close to taking over Bloody Head now. I think it's about 7 points.
Yeah.
So the gap is getting pretty close. I mean, we did say that around the bottom of the bracket, that is technically the most important part of the league right now, making that top 12. So especially for Bloodyhead getting knocked out super early as well. Sorry, AJ, I know you're cheering for Bloodyhead, but these guys just don't seem to be able to get a break at all.
Yeah, not at the start at the very least, right? We expect them to kind of pick up that pace, which is why I mentioned early on as well that you are right, from the 10th all the way down to the 14th spot, but we can't count out the rest at all, because even if a team like Enigmax or Umbrella Reborn, if they were given the opportunity, they can go into that final zone. It's all about the luck of the draw in terms of exactly how much the gods of RNG want to give them, as well as how well they plot their path in towards the next safe zone. As long as they can play that game of survival, get 12 points on their end, playing catch up to that 12th position's not going to be too difficult at all, because of exactly what Bloody Heads as well as Do Easy bring into this game's match after match: inconsistency.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you do need to find those kills. You do need to be aggressive. You need to be hunting, right? I think that, playing passively is one thing, but at this point, you got to get your kills. You got to make sure you get into the action. So, like Husky, was there like any team that really stuck out to you as, hey, this is like the wrong play style. They need to change it up moving forward?
I believe, at least for that game, not really. I think most of these teams are just playing to what they know best. We did mention that Enigmax need to step out in terms of the kill department. They are still playing the same way, so there's no standout team just yet based off that round one. But I would say for Freedom Rumble, they are definitely showing up a bit more. That is the Freedom Rumble that everyone knows and loves. But we also are aware of the risk where Freedom Rumble, they are like this bull that runs into the same red cloth every time. Sometimes they just knock themselves out. Thankfully, that was not the case. They did put themselves closer to that top 5. But good news for SAF as well, because AKO Legends and PXG Radicals got knocked out early. The gap between first and second place has widened even more.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at our next matchup,
We're just letting it sink in, SAF, the gap is...
just absorb it. So the next map we're going to be seeing for groups A and B is Kalahari. Now, I know that final circle that we just witnessed, there was not a lot of cover. A lot of the teams are playing very in the open. Kalahari is a map that's going to be very similar. There's not much coverage on this map, except you now have to worry about the verticality, teams sitting on hills, and everyone being exposed. So how do you approach Kalahari after the round of Bermuda that we just saw?
Get all of those top positions, and I don't mean on the leaderboards, literally those vertical advantageous positions, and move early. Look at the circle and start moving a little bit early, because Husky, you and I have encountered situations like this so many times on Kalahari. You drop into Refinery especially, they are, you've got those platforms which gives you the bird's eye view, and then a lot of those teams get caught out by the zone because they don't move early enough, and it's just a disadvantageous position that they fall into.
All right, well, looks like the map is loading underway right now. It's going to be Kalahari, Mustachio, and Husky. Please take it away.
Thank you once more to Holler and Dana Lee. Yes, map number 2, just in time to resonate with what you just said, AJ. High ground has always been the focal point when it comes to Kalahari. I think I have said this so many times. It feels like it's a daily ritual. If I don't say high ground when it comes to Kalahari, I'm not doing my job right. But I know Shooks is going to be kicking himself because he's going to be knocked down. Also goes down as ITX. They're going to take on Umbrella Reborn from the get-go. Umbrella Reborn sharing the same drop spot, and it's not working out. They are going to lose 3 members, at least on the side of ITX. They will lose 3. ITX still tries to clap back, but Umbrella Reborn, they are the one who's going to win now, and ITX suffers a very early exit.
Yeah, and this is exactly what we were talking about early on as well. You give a team like Umbrella Reborn the opportunity, they'll go in and they'll snuff out their opponents. And ITX, they are sitting in the 11th position. It does not matter. Early game encounters, it's either kill or be killed. Something similar for unfolding here for Argon MY as well as XBR. Let's see exactly how they take this fight against each other. Me trying to get away, but Spark seems to have already found an angle. He goes in for those shots against Twixar, but he's not going to get very, very lucky. XBR now, they need to be careful because Argon, they are coming in with that flank.
Yeah, and I like where Sparks is standing because he is giving so much information and he also acts as a flank watch X2R himself. It's going to take matters into his own hand. Poyorio also gets those shots in, and X2R with the flank. It's going to close out the round, at least for this encounter. They take out XBR, another team that, you know, isn't really doing too well, trying to catch up to the 12th spot. But it seems like the two teams who were trying to at least qualify for the top 12 have been eliminated, and they're feeding these teams at the bottom, who you mentioned early on, just needed a chance.
Yeah, and that is exactly why, you know, catching up to the 12th position, even though you are Enigmax at the very bottom, is not going to be very impossible at all because of the inconsistency that these teams from the second half of those leaderboards are bringing in. Bloodyhead, Do Easy, Tactical Intex, even Metrics, they most definitely need to step it up. Metrics, they are tethering on a very, very thin line here, but overall, they are one of the teams that are doing slightly better. Why? Because they can find their mark, right? They can go in there and they can pick up a decent amount of kills as V2 just drops in on Shah, going in for the snuff, the delete coming through as well. Jembal's gonna get caught out, and now V2 walks right through that, takes Jembal out of the equation. What was Jembal doing?
Oh my goodness! I mean, Enigmax, they play without fear. And this is how you motivate your team. I mean, V2 just played to his strength. I cannot believe he just ran in. He just ran at Jembal. Speaking about Do Easy, they are a team that during the first season of the major, they had probably one of the most abysmal performances. I think they were no show for the very final round, simply because that at that point there was no turning back. Right, they're already in last place. There was nothing they could do, and I feel like this is kind of a salvation for a chance at redemption, because they didn't qualify for FFMC. They qualify for MCP, but you look at the standings, they're in 13th place. Not the worst spot to be in. But I remember when we did season 1 of MCP, we had a period where Do Easy felt like superheroes. What happened? Like, what is your thought?
Sometimes you fly high and sometimes you fly a little too close to the sun, right? And I think that's exactly where Do Easy was. They got burned a little too badly. They fell down. And you know, the true mark of champions is not by how many times you try and you fail, but how many times you stand back up. And I guess Do Easy have not found the strength in them to stand back up again. And you know, we kind of see similar stories panning out with some of these other teams as well. Look at Bloodyhead. Look at, for example, Blacklist International. From where they used to be, they've fallen down quite a bit now, and they are still struggling to find that pace to step back up, right? But I don't think we are too far away from that. MCP majors, when they are pit against, because we also talked about this point, Husky, in the past. If you want to be a champion, you go in there and you compete. If you want to be a great champion, you go out there and you compete against the very best, right? And that's exactly what teams like Do Easy have an opportunity in the MCP majors. Take on the best. Group stages, yes, make a few mistakes. But, you know, after the reshuffle, there's still opportunities to turn things around.
And hopefully that will be the case, right? Because the reshuffle is going to happen pretty soon. We're at the halfway point by the end of the day. And Orin, he just got a knockdown, but thankfully not a secured kill just yet. Well, at least for the receiving end. But free to rumble once more with this 2 pickup of Orin and Vegeta. I would say, you know, it's among the list of best acquisition for a team. And I think the replacement, not to say that the previous members aren't good, but you kind of need a breath of fresh air every once in a while. And Zeth squad, the team that got second place, they're now trying to turn it up. Type 64 is going to start it off onto Enigmax, and they're going to get that kill right away. And this is what they are looking for. This is what they need to keep themselves in the running.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Zeth just running around looking for those players from Enigmax. They do not understand that the rest of them have already backed away. And now the side of Zeth needs to be really careful, because vantage point held by the players of Enigmax, and they will be able to turn the situation around. Somewhat a similar situation for SAF as well. They have got that vantage point, taking the shot off against PXG. They are not going to be troubled at all. This is going to be quite the standoff, because PXG has got a compound that they can work with. As long as they don't don't expose themselves unnecessarily, it's just going to be a standoff for a while.
Yeah, and Forbis made a name for himself yesterday. There was one round where Forbis was the only guy left alive, and he got a huge AK bomb. Forbis!
Come on!
As I said, he takes Raymel out, but thankfully Raymel is still protected. Barbara is gonna snap back and take out McCrory, so SAF and PXG will have a pretty extended standoff. But we know how volatile these two teams are. They are hailing from the same region, but they both have one goal. And unfortunately, only one team can rise to the top. So far it is SAF, but PXG, they are no slouches.
You never ever pull the trigger if you're not sure you can kill your enemies off. And you know, these crazy standoffs like this that do drag on time, it's going to be bad for both sides because they're just going to use up all of their resources. They're going to get into crazier battles in the next zone. And that's the point where they will need all of their medkits. That's the point they will need a majority of those glue walls, which they are unnecessarily expanding at this very moment. If SAF did not go in for that initial shot to kick things off, I feel like that engagement wouldn't have started. But let's see exactly how they continue on in here, because they look quite clear. They will be able to fight each other for a while before they need to move on to the next zone.
In fact, the zip line that SAF has access to is it's going to bring them into a very awkward angle. The trajectory actually sends them straight into PXG, so I don't think they'll take it. But for Enigmax, you know, early on they got 3 kills. They lost V2 to, I believe, Zeth squad, and they had AKO Legends within their crosshairs, but AKO Legend, they're playing pretty far away. I believe that they are on the low ground, so EMX won't be able to get those shots in. This is one of the banes when you play at Refinery. You get these vantage point, but you're telling everyone else that you're not going to move from that area. You only shoot when people walk into your line of sight, and Enigmax is probably one of the safer way for them to play when they are not confident to win those CQC against all these other teams.
Absolutely. I mean, if you ask me, it doesn't matter who you are. Even if you're SAF, you keep your little fingers off the trigger. Try to find a great position in the final zone or the second last zone, and then you start getting a little aggressive, right? Because those positioning points, although not as great or as influential as some of the kill points are to the teams like SAF, they will most definitely miss those placement points when they don't hit them, man. And clearly teams like AKO as well as PXG know exactly what I mean, right? They didn't hit the mark. They got a little too aggressive in match number 1, and look what they've done to themselves, right? They've allowed SAF to run away a little bit more, Husky.
Yeah, and SAF, they are trying to take control of command posts, and in fact, we are kind of witnessing the level of respect that Bloodyhead is giving to SAF. Bloodyhead, they are moving away from command posts, and mind you, that was their area, not anymore. Bloodyhead, they have completely evacuated majority of the compound. SAF will start their routine takeover, but the fact that Bloodyhead backed out so much puts them in a very susceptible spot. Because not only do they have to do with SAF, I believe Freedom Rumble is also nearby, and we know where this is going to go if a 3-way fight happens. Freedom Rumble will take that chance anytime.
Yeah, man. And I understand the ideation from Bloody Heads here. They definitely have got it into their Bloody Heads to not get into any early engagements, and they want to avoid it as much as possible. They know the importance of those placement points, and they're trying to play for it. But you know, you need to plot your path in here as well. Map awareness, very, very important. Bloody Heads now moving in a direction where they're gonna have a little bit of cover, but that compound is just not gonna be enough. Very easily overrun by a opposition party if they've got vantage point against you, i.e. exactly what SAF has against them. Now, Freedom Rumble will have an opportunity to snuff out the players from AKO in a bit, because they not only have a great compound with them, they're going to be able to gatekeep AKO, who's outside of the next zone, and 40 seconds is all AKO has to plot exactly how they want to overcome the situation.
Yeah, and AKO, they heed your call. They don't want to wait until the last moment, and I absolutely love this move. I think you need to give yourself some room to breathe. This is a lesson that it is easy for us to say, but I understand from the player's perspective, it might be very difficult to execute simply because there is never enough information when it comes down to the wire. So AKO, even though they made their move, they are spreading themselves out. The main problem is still The circle is not with them. It's going to close in 5 seconds. And another thing is they have to cross the freeway. And this is why they are making such a big round, even though it is phase 3 blue zone, because they don't want to expose themselves to that on that freeway. Unfortunately, they're going to run straight into Enigmax, and they will have to force themselves to take these kind of fights.
Hey, dude, that's a better odd, bro. Enigmax, yeah, I'll take that fight anytime, right? So great plays coming in here from the side of AKO. Let's see exactly what the side of Umbrella Reborn has got for us. 4 kills in this competition, so 4 kills in this particular lobby so far, and they will be able to push on a little bit more. AKO just backing away now because of those shots that will be coming towards them. You've got Do Easy with Ipan getting stuck, who gets eliminated by the zone. Good on him, but the rest of the players from AKO, they need to make a beeline straight in, because as soon as you get in, you need to take on Enigmax, and Enigmax may be able to take advantage of this situation. Nate now going to be popped in by Sparks. Beautiful on the placement. A double takedown. Barba gets taken out, but not by Sparks' nade, but a snipe from afar. And Pedro, beautiful kill on Baba. Knocks Ramiel down as well. Goes in for the delete through. Beautiful plays witnessed right here in match number 2, Husky.
And they're forcing everyone from PXG they're forcing everyone from Argon MY to go for the revive. And this is kind of the trickling effect that we get. Argon MY, they would try to push the issue. They know that they need to take out PXG. There's no turning back right now. Both of these teams are stuck outside the circle, but only one can get out. Enigmax is going to be knocked out by UMB and AKO combined. Insanity loses his life. Talamo is really exposed. Hoyoyo, you need to land those shots, but thankfully they still finish up Insanity. Now with the blue zone closing in, Hoyoyo gets shot by Promise from afar. Argon and White, they have to bail as Sparks is on the run. He has that inhaler to kind of give him a boost of speed, but he's running straight into the meat grinder. There's Bloody Hit, and there's also Freedom Rumble.
At this point, man, everyone is problem, right? Mark gets taken down. He's on the ground. Are we going to see a pickup come through? Morgana with the grenade launcher in hand. Absolutely useless in a situation where he could not go in and ask those important questions. Now, Mark has been picked up. Bloodyhead still alive and kicking, but the questions coming through. Freedom Rumble steps in to ask those questions. Moth gets taken down. Beautiful plays coming through from ZJ, but he flirts with the corner of that safe zone, and now the rest of the players from Freedom Rumble, Orin will be able to be the game changer in here if he can come swinging around, but he holds on to a very risky angle, Husky.
You know, earlier when I say why I did not like Bloodyhead giving up Command Center, because SCF, they got so much third-party potential, they actually shot...
ZJ.
Oh man, look at that! Forbin himself, he takes out Bloodyhead just because Bloodyhead gave up this position to SAF. Sure, they lost 2 guys, but now we're down to the last 5 teams. Do you think SAF cares too much? They're in the lead. They will take these kills any day. Zep Squad now under fire as Umbrella Reborn and SAF once more chips in. Freedom Rumble also wants to stick their foot into this issue with Vegeta taking his shots as well. UMB have 8 kills in the bag, and this could be the redemption, the rise from the ashes for UMB. They have a long way to go, but this is where it all starts.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And now, Umbrella, they are aiming not for the #1 spot, but they are aiming just to catch up with the top 12. Error now is just flirting with outside of that safe zone. He is going to be in a little bit of trouble, but, you know, the safest part here is all of the action is across the map from Umbrella. But even though that is the case, Zeth goes in for that long shot, takes him out of that equation. Now, Monarch, Lavitz, as well as Type 64. Freedom Rumble coming in for the push. SAF might just get backstabbed from this situation. It is the side of Freedom Rumble that has got the advantage now. Orin with a beautiful nade drops McRory as well as Forbit, and now it breaks down to just Zeth as well as Freedom Rumble. The 2 teams showing consistency back to back. Can Freedom Rumble get it done once again? Orin now peeking outside of his blue wall. Just the tree being used by the players of Zeth to keep control. Freedom Rumble eliminated, and Zeth breaks up your booyah!
2 rounds in a row, we get these 2 teams in the final showdown. Freedom Rumble takes 1, Zeph Squad takes the 2nd. It is a 1-to-1 head-to-head bout between these 2 teams, but oh my goodness, such consistency from our players, and most importantly for Zeph Squad, they started the day in 15th place, and now you give them a booyah and you give them top 2 rounds in a row. We are gonna see these guys in 12th place in no time.
Yeah, if you guys were wondering exactly what Zeth means, you see it right there, 0 to hero. They were zeros for the past couple of group stage days, but now straight up to the top, man. What we look for in a game like this is consistency. We've talked about how great all of those teams are, but ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's bring back our awesome host, Danny as well as Holler, as we continue this conversation after one of the craziest matches that we've witnessed in a while.
Wow, that's all I can say. Wow.
Yeah. Holler, what did you think of that matchup, man? I mean, Zeth as well as Freedom Rumble, once again bringing in that consistency. Freedom Rumble, we understand because they were technically at the top or somewhere at the top. They have fallen from their supremacy. They want to make their way back up. But let's talk a little bit about Zeth and how much of effort they're putting in here.
No, absolutely crazy. I don't even know who this team is, to be honest. Zeth, we have not said their name other than maybe they're eliminated, 11th or 12th place. You know what I mean? Like, This is a team that's been completely put down. They've just had a rough start to this league. But considering the fact that they're second place and they just got their booyah, Seth, this is a team that they're whatever the strategy they're doing right now, big props to them. They've really stepped up. But Freedom Rumble, we expected this. They had lofty expectations. We knew that they were going to get in the kills. So they've been where they should be. Now, but Seth, that's at a whole nother level. Big props to them for getting the booyah.
Yeah, cool, man. Danny, I know you had your eyes on the bloody heads. do they seem to be delivering even 5% of whatever we expect so far?
Shouldn't I be asking you this question because you're the one that was advocating for Bloody Head at the beginning of the season?
I feel like AJ is so invested in Bloody Head, so he talks about Bloody Head during the first season. He uses them as a reference during FFMC. So
I swear,
there's 6 months of just investment.
He talks to them like they're his children.
And one day you are gonna be seeing the bloody heads reach up to the very top, right? Because they've got that quality. And unfortunately, I only see bouts of that quality here and there. No consistency at all. Something that Zeth seems to be finding in themselves, because it is not easy, guys, pulling that up, right? I mean, once again, Freedom Rumble, expected, but Zeth, from being nowhere, literally living through to their name, right? 0 to heroes. But that's going up against the players from Group B. A versus C, that's gonna be a different story altogether.
I would say that I think Bloody Head would have had a better round if they did not move away from command post. I still want to harp on it a little bit because I felt like you are giving too much space. And at the end of that round, towards the end of it, SAF, they were the biggest beneficiaries. They were getting a lot of third party. You look at the kill feed on the screen, it was 2 different teams fighting, but you see SAF getting pot shots here and there. So Bloody Head, I don't mind the tactical part, but I just feel like you cannot surrender everything, especially to a team that is already in such a powerful position, such as the likes of SAF.
Holler.
Yeah, we're seeing the faults of it, right? Like Bloody Heads, they're a good team. I think mechanically they're sound, but this is like one of those things where you make a small tactical error, over aggression, and then you get paid for it, right? And so you can't really take those risks. It's a risk versus rewards type of game, and they took a high risk there. They got killed, and they paid for that.
But here's the question I want everyone to ask themselves as to the decision that Bloody Heads took. Was it the right one or the wrong one? They avoided that particular confrontation. If they had stuck to their ground, what's the probability of killing SAF, even if you have the compound? And especially if you're Bloody Heads.
I say pretty high, honestly.
Bro, no. Not the current Bloody Heads.
So I'm not saying that it's 100% kill rate, but I'm saying that there's definitely a chance. There's definitely a better chance simply because, first of all, command post is a very huge compound, right? So there's a lot of place for you to set up your ambush against any team, regardless of its SAF or its Enigmax. Bloody Head had control. I just didn't like the way that they surrendered like 90% of the compound. If they still kind of share 60-40, then it's fine. But 90% of it is a bit too much to me.
We have to perhaps see whether or not that was the right decision based on the leaderboards, because as well as perhaps the highlights later on, because we need to see how many teams were in existence on that map at that very moment where Bloody Heads surrendered the post to SAF, and see if or not they managed to grab any sort of points whatsoever. These are the highlights, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We'll take a quick peek at it if we manage to catch it, guys.
If we manage to catch it, we should be able to. I mean, I was looking at the situation, and I don't know. I kind of agreed with Bloody Head's decision making there because, okay, here's how I see it. Right, in a head-to-head situation where SAF goes against Bloody Head, I feel SAF has much better team coordination when it comes to actually taking compounds.
Correct.
So even if Bloody Head had a minor advantage by actually having it in the first place, I think SAF was going to take it regardless.
Yeah.
So I don't really see that much of a change. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm hoping that with each of these experiences, Bloody Head is learning something new and realizing that, okay, we can contest this team, we can't contest this team, we need to figure out how to protect compounds better, we need to improve our team coordination. I feel like that my biggest issue with Bloody Head so far is that they always seem to just have issues of positioning.
Right. Yeah.
Where they're always so easy to get picked off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that kind of stems a little bit from, the lack of self-confidence, right? And I don't blame them because they've kind of tried, crazy plays, and they've paid for those crazy plays as well. 5 placement points. I think that is a better odd compared to running in for 4 kill points against SAF. I just want to use that as an example, right? So I want to see more of that from Bloody Heads, because no disrespect to them, that seems to be the better option of picking points up at the moment.
And I mean, but Bloody Head, they only got 2 kills to their name, but they definitely had a lot more knocks than this, right? So the potential is there. It's just that they haven't been able to clean out, make sure that they secure those kills. Sometimes they do get third parties, sometimes the rush is on and things are kind of crazy, but I feel like the coordination is just a little bit off. They really need to kind of work on just how they, take things out. Who's flanking? What time are they coming in? It seems like everybody's kind of trickling in one-on-one, and they're just trying to take one-on-one fights. And sometimes that happens where it's like a 50-50, and then you end up losing those ones.
I have some bad news, AJ.
Tell me.
All right, so I'm doing a little bit of the math here, and I believe Bloody Heads has been knocked to 13th place after Seth Squad's performance.
And that's fine. I mean, kudos to Z Squad, right? Beautiful play this time round. They pick up that number 1 spot. Consistency in terms of placement points, but we can see exactly where they fall short. Kill points, right? You want to reach up to that number 1 spot. Got a lot of opportunities, but clearly they are taking a little bit of my game plan. Just survive, get in there, and then get a few kills, because eventually you are going to be the biggest winners of that particular lobby. SAF, they go in as well. Unfortunate for themselves in terms of placement points. They only managed to pick 8 up, but this is where the buffer comes through. Points with those buff, and they're just 1 point behind Z Squad. Umbrella Reborn as well, one of those teams that I won't say we counted out. We have been seeing them step it up consistently, once again reaching up to the top, guys. 3rd position with 8 kills. 8 kills. That is where they have started to impress me.
And equally, with 8 kills, Argon Malaysia. They got 4 placement points. They got eliminated early, but they got those kills. 12 points is a great round. Argon Malaysia need to keep that up. They had some amazing grenades. They were using their utility quite well. Just Argon Malaysia, this is a team that you need to be careful. They're going to be aggressive, and they do end up getting it. But, I mean, if you can get those kills, that's all you really need. So Argon Malaysia really stepping up in that round.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Is it appropriate for us to start worrying about both AKO Legends and PXG Radicals, because 2 rounds in a row, they did get some points, but if you subtract whatever SAF has gotten for themselves, I think the gap is still widening between first, second, and third. So is it time for us to start worrying about these 2 teams, or perhaps there's still a lot more room for these guys to work with?
Well, technically, there a lot more room is 2 more rounds, man. I mean, because now B and C, AKO still has got the opportunity, but now they take it up against teams like 4X-Men Expert, who have been showing so much of promise in week number 1. It's only going to get tougher because out of nowhere, Group A finally stepped it up.
this was what I was hoping we'd get to. Yes, I hope this was what we got yesterday, but it wasn't that great yesterday. But I'm glad at least something's happening for Group A.
Yeah.
Although, but it is true though, we are getting a really big gap between that first and second place, and it almost feels like we're reaching the point of no return.
Mhm.
Now, this is taking into consideration we haven't had the shuffle yet.
Yeah.
The shuffle is coming up really soon, and we might see a big change there. But I think we need to consider how big of a gap does there have to be for a team to say, okay, even with the group shuffles, it doesn't matter anymore.
Either way, the shuffles are going to be just the killer for the competition, right? And Garena knows this. They've done it so many times in the past competitions where those shuffles just turn teams from literally exactly what Z stands for, 0 to hero, out of nowhere. And I'm looking forward to that, Annie.
Wonder if it would.
I think at this point,
Yeah.
sorry, go on. Husky.
I wonder if it would see the same situation as the first major, where a team has such a big lead that even if they it reaches a point where even if they don't show up for a full day, they will still be in the lead. I feel like SAF is building towards that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're kind of like, I think it's a fight for second right now. I think you let SAF and you just let them do their thing. But hey, one thing that we have is we've got a giveaway right now. That's the code that you want to input. Make sure that you take a screenshot, share it in. I know that that's like one of the number one things, and even in the chat box of what is the code, that is your first code. It's not a first come, first serve, but anyone can redeem it. Everyone can redeem it. We have 2 codes for you. So please make sure that you do take that screenshot, you put that in and redeem it before the end of the stream. That's the only catch. Make sure you do that within the time allotted.
Have fun with the boxes. All right, so while everyone's claiming their boxes, I think we also need to start talking about what we're going to be seeing in our next matchup. So we're now going to be moving away from Group A. We'll see them a little bit later, but now it's going to be the monster group, B and C. And we've already seen that SAF, they've managed to extend their lead even further, whereas AKO and PXG Radicals, they've fallen because they haven't been able to really pick up the points. So very quickly before we go to a break, what are we going to be expecting in B's and C?
I want to see Almighty again. I want to see them step up again. They've done it yesterday.
Yeah.
So if they can do it today, that is going to restore my faith in them a bit more compared to what we've seen them previously.
Yeah, amen, bro. I mean, here's to throw more info on the group shuffles. This is one of the final days where we have got this particular grouping, and all of the teams have gotten used to it already, and which is exactly why we see Group A stepping it up, which is exactly why we see Almighty stepping it up, and Group C is going to be able to bring on their full firepower. I cannot wait.
And I'm going to go with metrics. I think that they're going to have a team. They had 34 points above average in terms of the scoring, at least for day 3. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to them.
Okay, so that's going to be it for A versus B. We're going to go for a quick break, folks. But once you come back, it's going to be the monster group, B versus C. We'll see you after this.
Dia secepil saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya bagi pada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini. Sedikit lagi. Berjaya menjatuhkan. Last minute itu. Ada ke wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi, tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan akhirnya mengenai 3 player full expert dan kita lihat bagaimana Berari menguasai kawasan di atas 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Faskil Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba depan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes di belakang jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 squad saja lagi tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels dah bloody head sekarang. Barai double play tadi dilakukan oleh itu dah knock berjaya meratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan bloody head sebentar tadi.
Triple kill. Shut down. Quadra
dia sejepit saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan Abang berjaya bagi pada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini.
Sedikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan. Last minute itu. Ada wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya
terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan akhirnya mengenai 3 player full expert dan kita
Hello and welcome back to Day 3 of the MCP Majors Season 2. Danley, we're about to see the big boys play in groups B versus C. Which team is your favorite going into match 3?
Tough question. I mean, I've been harping on about Blacklist International since week 1. Although they played a bit wonky yesterday, and I do have my concerns, and I'm worried I'm going to give them a caster's curse. But you know what? I'm going to stick with it. I'll stay with Blacklist because they're going to be playing their favorite map after this map.
Okay. So they're going to do well, but I think I'm going to go with Metrics. I feel like this is a team that's really kind of on the rise, a little bit of a dark horse. I mean, it's not as apparent as Almighty, Fast Kill, and Blacklist.
Yes.
I mean, this is the group of death, but I feel like Metrics have really done well for being in a somewhat difficult group. This is a team that you really need to work.
Absolutely. So we're going back onto Bermuda. This is where everyone was essentially born. It is what teams do you feel really dominate Bermuda?
I think in terms of just overall, like AKO Legend has done well, just consistently throughout, but they need to step it up. They haven't had a good day so far. Hopefully they have it in going into match 3.
Okay, fair enough. I think I'm just going to stick to Blacklist. Although I feel like it's definitely not their strongest map. We'll take a look at the overall standings very quickly before we jump into our game, as the players are still loading into the lobby. Now, no brainer, SAF, they're currently leading, but we do need to keep in mind that they are technically 2 games ahead of Group C. So Group C haven't played any games yet. They have plenty of opportunities to grab points, but they're really, really pulling ahead of this competition. I mean, we expected AKO.
Sometimes it's how the cookie crumbles, right? You're not going to have those opportunities. Some other teams have actually shown up. Group A was actually a big surprise for today in terms of points and just, showing up and getting those kills. They've done quite well. They made sure that they, you remember the name. Yeah, they're qualifier teams, but hey, they're here to play and they're here to win. So a big shout out to Group A for that. But, B and C, I think that the biggest disappointment, kind of AKO Legends. We were talking so much hype about them. Don't get me wrong. They're still in second place in a great position. But man, they really need to step it up. That lead from SAF to AKO is widening, and it's going to be very difficult for them to compete with them.
I mean, it's going to be difficult for every team to compete against, right? I mean, even if a team suddenly has a second wind during the second half of the season, I'm not sure if anyone will be able to close that gap. But at the end of the day, we do need to give props to SAF because they were the ones that really put in the effort to build this lead. You can see on their score, they have 99 kills. They have such a massive kill lead. And if you compare them to the rest of the competition, there's no team that's even close to having that many kills.
That's actually crazy. That's more points than like 7 of the different teams from Tactical Index on below, right? With all of their placements, all of their kills, and you've got 99 kills in that alone. Wow, this Supreme Assault Force team is just absolutely ridiculous. I don't know if there's a team that can compete with them. I mean, I think at this point, everybody's just fighting for scraps, trying to see what they can get, because I don't think anybody wants to deal with this big dog that is of SAF.
Yeah, they're like the Rottweiler, and then everyone's still a puppy. They're still learning to walk. Not necessarily, but SAF, they're the big dogs. Can anyone knock them out?
Yeah, we're going to have to find out. This is going to be Bermuda. This is match 3, Mustachio and Husky. Please take it away.
Thank you once more to our hosts and you. I love our synergy. We always do things telepathically. We didn't think of it ahead of time, and we still put it off. So props to you. I love sharing the broadcast with you. But yes, Danley mentioned that SAF is the Rottweiler. I personally think that they're more of a K9 Bloodhound, because these guys, 99 kills. The kills, the points that they got from kills is as basically more than Tactical Index and all the teams below them. And in fact, they are showing us what we love to see, which is the balance between placements and kills. The only difference between their placement points and kill points is just 7. That is a beauty.
Yeah. The common misconception of Rottweilers, though, is that they are fierce, ferocious. Rottweilers are actually very, very loving. And what they do is once they find their family and once they adopt anyone as their family members, they become viciously protective. So I don't know exactly which particular identity of Rottweiler, they want to perhaps stick on with, but we will be able to see in this game, right? Because Group B as well as C taking it up is going to be a totally different scenario. In Group C, we've got our big dogs, right? We've got Views, who's currently stepping it up. We've got Fastkill MY, who we know, Husky, are capable of taking crazy kills within the lobby itself, but they didn't seem to be hitting their mark yesterday. We are looking forward to seeing whether or not they can step it up today. For X-Men Expert as well as Almighty. For X-Men Expert kind of trailed off, Almighty taking their place and stepping it up.
Yeah, I definitely agree with whatever you just said, because all of these teams that you've listed out, we are going to go through them a lot of times throughout this league. Just because, that feeling of, someone has it in them, but they don't really show that they have it in them, but you still believe that they have that potential. It's this tug of war, this whole that uneasy feeling, and I really want to see that come to fruition. I think Almighty is on the right track. They had a pretty decent Saturday. It's not the best, but they closed out the day with a booyah, and that itself has started to bring us away from the divinity that we once knew. I think not just a change of name, you kind of also need to bring in a change of pace, and Almighty is slowly but surely doing that.
Yeah, Almighty, they are going to be undisturbed at all, taking the mid section of the map at peak. Very safe area to play with. Even if they do need to move anywhere with the zone, they're not going to have to reposition themselves too much. So I think that's a brilliant strategy. A little bit risky because, quite a number of teams can go with that particular mindset. But clearly at the MCP majors, these teams prefer to, drop in the outer regions of the map. Views as well as Team Fastkill MY will be having the opportunity to meet each other in a bit, but thankfully they're not so close to each other, right? Which means they will be able to take a full-on battle after fully looting these areas.
I always love watching Wheels. I mean, we still see Embelore and Alforte, the dynamic duo that always holds hands when you go into a fight. When these two guys are alive, you can always rely on them. Though I think this dynamic does have its weaknesses, right? They cannot lose any of them. They live together, they die together, and this is why Wheels right now, they're going to take on Fastkill MY. And unfortunately, if you're up against Wheels, the only way is to fight. And Shark is in such a bad spot. And Mallory also see where it is. They're being fired left, right, and center. But Shark still downs Aoki, and in fact, Fastkill MY, they're getting the good shots in.
Oh, what a play by Jacques. Aoki now has been picked right back up. Time Turner will be pulled out. Jacques gets taken out instead. Just like you mentioned, Alforte, the guy to look out for. He is there to pick his team members up. And what a delete coming through for Hammer. Beautiful plays. And now, Embalore as well as Limit, they need to recover the situation immediately because Team Fastkill, they have struck back and Views do not like this situation. Embalore with the opportunity to take Monito out, but he will have the tree right in front of him. Aoki steps out and goes in for the flush. Hanma taken out. It doesn't look good for the side of Team Fastkill.
Yeah, if you take out Alforte, Embelore will come for you, and Bonito from behind takes out Embelore. That's the dynamic duo of Wheels eliminated. And Fastkill MY, they smell blood in the water, and they smell Wheels as their prey. So far, it's still not looking good for Wheels. In fact, Limit will be deleted as well. Aoki will have to get out of this place. Sentosa is not safe anymore, but Fastkill MY, they're living off of the adrenaline. They know where Aoki is. The question is, can Aoki himself win against these two members from the side of Fastkill?
Gamora asked Thanos, right? At the end of the day, what did it cost? So that's the same exact question I've got for views, right? At the end of the day, what did it cost, man, for some early kill points? That's why I always insist, Husky, the better play is just wait for that final zone. They didn't technically land in the exact same area. Views could have backed away from this battle, but no, they chose to get greedy. They chose to go in for that initial snuff, and they just picked the wrong time, the wrong team, the wrong day to start this fight. And now Aoki is going to probably be paying a high price. The guy who started things off for going in for those shots. Hanma now. Are we going to see a nade pop through? He pulls out the shotgun Monito as well. They are going to be flanking in here purely with the numbers. Aoki might be able to catch them off guard, but I don't see a potential glue wall being pulled out here. Aoki, the best situation that this guy can now hope for is that he gets one delete either on Hanma or Monito before he gets taken down, Husky.
All about isolating your targets, and this really will test the mettle of Aoki. But I like what Fasco is doing. They are not pulling the trigger just yet. All they have to do right now with their advantage is just to play it slow and circle around this compound. They know that no matter where Aoki goes, if he leaves this building, he is dead. So Fasco and Y, they're just taking their time. But we've seen these kind of situations even previously. You cannot take too much time, and Aoki now is going to be forced to fight. But just a good rush from Monito will close out the round for Views. Fascio and Y starting the round with 4 kills, but they did suffer 2 casualties.
And let's see exactly what 4 X-Men expert can pull off for themselves, because so far so good. Just picking up some mushrooms from the ground. Did you guys know that the mycelium that the mushrooms spread underground helps trees communicate with each other? If you didn't know, you just learned something new.
I just learned something new.
Yeah, it's cool, man. You know when elephants walk through the jungle,
right,
and they start grazing on trees, right, trees use the mycelium network that mushrooms spread underground to communicate with other trees. And so they start releasing this bitter compound within the leaves, so the elephants stop grazing, because if you let the elephants go, they'll finish up all the leaves on the trees. And that's exactly how Mother Earth protects herself.
I've been watching a lot of videos about Animal Kingdom, you know, like fun facts. Why do some birds, you know, drop the children off out of the nest? You know, all of these. I found very interesting information. I felt like every day I'm learning something new.
Yeah.
I remember the recent ones I watched was something about how some animals have abilities where to protect themselves, but also they have regenerated properties. And I think the one animal that always interests me is the tardigrade. The water bear, right? They call it, where it just does not die no matter what circumstances you put him in.
Potentially, I want to say Freedom Rumble can be related to that animal where they just don't die, but it would be very inaccurate. They find a way. They find a way to get themselves snuffed out. Similar to Views as well, right? Because you have to pick your battles well, and you know, Freedom Rumble, they don't do that very well all the time. Unlike SAF. SAF knows when to pull the trigger, knows when to back away. At least, to the very least, I thought they did. Except for the first 2 matches that we witnessed today, SAF seems to be a little bit under the weather, right? And I guess that's what's great about Free Fire. That's what's great about Battle Royales in general. You always can expect the unexpected, Husky.
Yeah. I was about to say that I think SAF is near Freedom Rumble, but that is actually XPR. I almost got confused with the logo. But what we do know now is Metrics. They have a very solid place that they bunked in, and PXG Radicals playing on that high ground. So the Bima Sakti strip is kind of like your center point when it comes to Bermuda. Everyone, for some reason, loves this place a lot, which is why, you know, for a person like me who does not like crowds, I don't go to this place if I don't have to. But it seems like the circle is saying otherwise. It's telling everyone to gather at the center for a very messy party. And PXG Radicals, off of their first 2 rounds, which they haven't been able to do too well, you can see them slow down a bit, but no, judging by the members that they have on their team, especially Ray Meow, you can expect a certain degree of discretion. Like, Ray Meow is not going to let any of these chances pass by if he sees them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And for the time being, it's just going to be quiet because the zone hasn't really gone in to force any of these teams to move. And if you're not forced to move, stay put, right? Because you can never call out or anticipate exactly where the zone is going to go. And as soon as I say that, one team, PXG, does the exact opposite, runs straight into SAF. We are in for a bit of trouble here because Views, in the perfect situation, in the perfect position to third party this and pull off the biggest upset on both of these teams.
I mean, if Wheels can do it, if there's any team that can do it, Wheels is definitely one of them. But a lot of pressure is going to be on the two remaining members. Not Views. What am I talking about? It's SAF. I mean, Wheels has already been knocked out. I mean, I'm harping on them way too much at this point. You know, SAF. Again, now they see PXG within their sight. In fact, that's Raimi out, but it's XPR that takes him out, and that's gonna alert Forbits. And you know, Forbit is not happy when someone steals his prey. So in this danger zone, I mean, I'm wondering how SAF is gonna navigate this. But thankfully, the danger zone expires. That is gonna force PXG Radicals back. But SAF, you alert these elite squads. You better be ready for a fight. And SAF, so far they haven't pulled the trigger just yet, but they've gathered enough information to work with.
GG, man. PXG literally just walking straight into trouble, finding out like, whoop. It's like the meme of that little baby that runs into the room and goes like, whoop, and then starts running away. Yeah, that's exactly what they did. Unfortunate, they got a guy taken down from the back as well. Thankfully, Cannot Brain was in the best situation to take advantage of that, right? Beautiful kill coming through from Evo ZR. Hopefully, we will be able to see a little bit more from them. And, you know, with the ability to step things up against SAF as well, because we have a lot from them that they haven't shown us just yet. So particularly when a fight against SAF is taken and won, it's the best way to put yourself on the map.
I mean, if any team takes out SAF, I'm pretty sure it would be kind of a slight win for the rest of the squad, right? Like when you have a team that is literally dominating the entire competition, you don't care who kills him. You just want him to go down. I think SAF has now put a target on their back, but it's just based off of the performance, and that itself, I think, is a positive more than it is a negative. In fact, this danger zone is not gonna. It just refuses to leave SAF alone.
Yeah. And you know, it just reminds me of a saying that I absolutely love. It's in Malay, kalah tak apa, style mesti ada. You know, it doesn't matter if you lose, you need to go down with style, man. And if you take SAF down before getting snuffed out, you don't get the first spot, who cares? You just took SAF out of the equation. Cannot Brain in that situation. Dude, they've got the compound, they've got the bird's eye view. They should be able to take this fight. It's theirs to lose.
It definitely feels like it. And Freedom Rumble shows up in Factory, where 4X-Man Expert have spent their time setting up that defense. And Freedom Rumble is a team where if they see someone who is not their own, they will want to make sure that you leave the game as fast as possible. And I think Freedom Rumble are already setting up for that push. Vegeta, he did get tagged early on, but I think Freedom Rumble, they are just here for the vehicles. Was that the vehicles of 4X-Man Expert? I kind of feel like it could be. I kind of felt like Freedom Rumble just did a Grand Theft Auto right in front of our eyes. But if that's the case, I mean, good for them. Look at them. They are out, heading towards the center of the circle.
Oh Lord, that was a quick one, man. That was so dirty. Well played, Freedom Rumble. But you know, I am afraid that it might pan out very badly because you get caught out by a team like Auto Knockout who goes in, and that's what I hate about it. You get caught in situations where you do not make that plan, right? AKO forcing this fight, but Deco's the first one to get taken down and then deleted as well. What a play by Orin. Nga drops Vegeta, goes in for the delete. What a response right back. Freedom Rumble starting things off against AKO.
You start a fight, you have to finish it, and AKO this time, they want to make sure that they take out Freedom Rumble as the part of a redemption. Freedom Rumble has had 2 good rounds, and you definitely don't want to give them a third. And Fasky and White, they're going to get eliminated by Blacklist International off screen. Blacklist International will settle for those 2 kills as Fasky and White, they were already crippled from the beginning, but for Freedom Rumble and AKO, both teams only lost 1 guy. Apam now is going to take the first move. AKO Legend still trying to play around. Rosso with a good glue wall, just navigating around this fight, but EPAS will come in from behind as Apams is going to be the one that taken out. Freedom Rumble, making sure that they make it worth it, and Umbrella Reborn, they've came to the wrong fight at the right time, and that is why AKO Legends are in a horrible spot.
Oh, but Almighty is now going to stop Umbrella Reborn from making that approach. Umbrella, they will have the scene with them. They've got the zone on them. Grizzly just trying to pull all of the attention away from the rest of his team members. What a sacrifice coming through from Grizzly, ladies, German boys and girls. But all of that bravery is because he has got the most played vehicle within the game. The motorcycle gives you that mobility to get away from your opponents, and he's right back together with his players. Zay now taking a couple of shots from the side of Almighty. They've got 0 kills on their hands. They're not playing the zone as well. Almighty is just playing with fire, not with Umbrella.
Yeah, I mean, Umbrella Reborn, you know, they, like you mentioned, they have the bike, so they're just taking the time, they're getting information. But for Almighty, I think they are more compromised compared to Umbrella Reborn simply because they're closer to a separate team. SAF, though, they see XBR, and like I said, XBR, they exposed themselves early on, and you cannot escape the grasp of SAF. That is going to be 3 kills so far. XBR, they are not out just yet, but Almighty now will be caught in such a bad spot. Everyone trapped behind his blue wall, and that's going to be an easy spray now. Matrix will be the one that knocks out Almighty, and Matrix didn't even lose anyone. And in fact, they also found Blacklist International trying to scurry into the circle, and Blacklist International, even with those blue walls, will have to do their best. Reno P is down, but you still have Shafiq and Ash left alive behind his blue wall. Clients is going for the rush. Shafiq will be the survivor, but Blacklist International will put them on that blacklist, and Metrics will be at the next team to get knocked out.
Oh, Ajim now getting taken down. Umbrella out of nowhere. Umbrella Reborn. They go in, they chip in, they take those kills. Beautiful plays coming through from the boys who are, you're not aiming for that #1 spot. They are just trying to make it into the top 12. And now McRory, the star player from the side of SAF, getting taken down for X-Men Expert. SAF now will manage to take Rival out of the equation. Goku takes Let's Go down. Spade dropped onto the ground. Jabat goes down as well for X-Men Expert, not looking great at all. SAF winning these fights. McRory stands right back up and immediately pops 2 kills for himself. That is the prowess of SAF.
Yeah, you really think you can shoot McCrory and get away? I mean, X-Men Expert learned their lesson the hard way. Not only did they get punished by SAF, but AKO also chipped in. And from 4 men, they are now just down to 1. SAF continues that journey uphill. A journey that they were not able to do previously. And Cobra gets caught out in the open as it's going to be SAF playing God in the situation. They're taking out everyone. Manflank runs straight into the crosshair. They had to outrun this circle. And look at what SAF is doing. They're cleaning everyone up. Umbrella Reborn doing the same. PXG Radicals will be the next team to get eliminated. But SAF has put 8 kills under the belt. And they're not stopping. Now they will turn head and go downhill once more. Because that's where the circle is. The final battlefield right in the middle of this freeway. And SAF has one of the best positions.
Hey, Umbrella Reborn, they have got an amazing position for themselves as well. Beautiful nades now getting popped. IPAMs just takes Apam out of the equation on the ground right now. Yet another nade tossed towards Orin to make sure they can't go in for the pickup on Apam. And the rest of the players from Umbrella close in the gap. Grizzly going in with the double vectors, but beautiful glue walls being popped up by Freedom Rumble. Era will be able to get the backstab on them. IPAMs gets taken down. Let's Go chips in from the back, taking them out. Freedom Rumble has been eliminated, and Umbrella Reborn is on fire!
Yeah, Umbrella Reborn is going to be the next though, because again, SAF, they swoop in for their 12th kill of the round. AKO Legends died to Goku, but Goku will also serve his sentence. SAF once more rise to the top. They are going to get their first booyah of the day, but nonetheless, the leaders will remain the kings, and SAF so far have been unbeatable.
Ah, beautiful plays coming through from Let's Go, McRory, Toxic, Daemon, as well as 4-bits, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. SAF forever dominant in the MCP Majors Season 2. Beautiful plays coming through from the Filipinos. And, you know, in the first 2 games, it didn't really matter, man. When it truly mattered, when the fight was taken up against Group C, where all of your big dogs dropped in, they managed to pull it off for themselves. But, you know, teams like 4 X-Men Expert but teams like Umbrella Reborn, they they are stepping it up consistently in the competition. Let's welcome back Danny as well as Holla and find their thoughts on this game, Husky.
Welcome back, SAF. Back to the top. I mean, we've seen this coming, but how was that game for you guys?
Okay, I want to take the attention away from SAF, and I need to quickly mention, is this suddenly the rise of the underdogs? Because we're seeing a lot of teams that were practically off the radar for the past week and a half actually really performed today.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah. And Holla, that's the main reason why we got into a conversation as well as to why we have to take our eyes off of the top three, right? SAF, AKO, PXG, been there, done that. We've talked about them a little bit already, but the underdogs in here, man, the teams that we haven't been focusing on that much, the teams like Z Squad, who technically got counted out, they are stepping it up today, Holla.
Yeah, I mean, it's a welcome surprise, right? Don't get me wrong. I mean, we got to give shout outs to SAF, right? The fact that they got 12 kills, McCrory with 6, just an absolute monster. Everybody else is fighting for scraps. That's the hardest thing. So I feel like the teams that have not, been in the second half of the standings right now, they're finding those scraps. They're figuring out ways to just score some points, make sure that they can get into it. And at the same time, they're like, they see SAF, they're like, let's be a little wary. Let's not fight with those guys right now.
Yeah. And Danny, SAF just been so dominant throughout this whole time, but it looks like, Team A might just be the kryptonite for them because they just could not perform no matter what. And not only could they not perform, they were consistently around that 6th to 7th position all the while. And now they not only do they get that top spot, but more than 12 kills, I believe. Crazy performance, Danny.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's SAF's kryptonite anymore, because we saw it was Group C, and then it was Group A, and then I think next week is going to be neither. So I'm not really sure what's going on with SAF. I honestly feel in the case of today, SAF may have been a little unlucky with their Group A matches, just because we saw in Bermuda, they were caught off guard. They weren't really positioning themselves. They were basically just cut down on the lower end of a hill. In the case of Kalahari, sometimes you just get Kalahari'd, right? Someone shoots you down from the high ground. What can you really do? It's just how the map functions. I wouldn't really say it's their kryptonite, but Group A was not the game. It wasn't the series. But honestly, if this is how SAF normally plays, then they should have won their 2 games in Group A.
Yeah, but a team like SAF, they really need to watch out for themselves, because Husky, you and I, we are quite familiar with a situation like this where a team is just that runaway train, gets in front of everybody else. We count out that number 1 spot. We tell the audience that, it's just the fight for that 2nd position. And then out of nowhere comes overconfidence and infraction points as well, my friend.
Yeah, I tell you this, even that was during Season 1, right? Even during FFMC, we didn't really have a runaway team, but we had dominant team. And towards the tail end of the grand finals, I remember that the dominant team that we always hopped on just had one bad round, and the entire cookie crumbles for them. I don't think SAF is going down that path just yet. The last time I spoke to them was actually 6 months ago after the first season, and we didn't really speak much, but they gave me this confidence that SAF is a team that is ever growing, and they are going to come back stronger, even though Season 1 was not too bad of a run for them. And now they're really proving that, and I just feel like the faith has been rewarded by SAF.
Amen, my friend. Umbrella Reborn, check it out, Holla.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it, right? They were their second to last place. They were 17th place. They had only 11 kills going into today, right? So let's put that in perspective. They have at least 16 kills for today already, and they've gotten second place right here. So they're really showing up and giving everybody else a run for their money. Forex Expert, Blacklist International, AKO, Freedom Rumble, all of these teams we kind of expected to be at the top of the list, but Umbrella Reborn just really reborn in today's day 4 and just really showing up today.
Oh, amen, man. I cannot wait to see, this brand as well as Z Squad continuously step it up. SAF, they might not be affected by all of these teams continuously moving up the leaderboards, because they are playing for a totally different prize pool altogether in that number 1 spot. But, as these teams continuously step it up, they don't care who who they find out there on the battlefield. They'll take these aggressive fights. But, I hope and pray they have learned from Team Fast Kill, right? Because you go in there for those fast kills, you may be able to capitalize, Husky, but it might turn against you as well.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a recurring theme throughout the entire league. I would want to say that some habits just don't change. It's very hard to teach an old dog new tricks, and I think that is just a personality. You can't change the core of the team. Although I feel like
I wish we could, though.
I wish we could. I wish we could just snap our fingers and Fast Q suddenly just shows up big time. I remember during FFMC, they were probably the only team that didn't get a single Booyah throughout the entire league because of how they played.
Yes.
I feel like we're looking at the same repeat for MCP so far.
Yeah, hopefully not, right, Danny? Because we saw a little bit of what they could bring into Season 1. We saw a little bit in FFMC. There were those moments of supremacy, but just a lot of these decisions that are made by the team just so poor in nature early on in the game, especially, and they lose their gunfights. I think they should learn a little bit from Bloody Heads and start running away from the compound in the future.
All right, something to learn from Bloody Head. Anyways, just a reminder for everyone watching the stream, we still have our code that we're giving away today. This is not a first come first serve code. This is a code for everyone that is watching the broadcast, so make sure you claim it now or claim it soon, because as soon as the stream goes offline, this code will also expire. So go claim your free boxes for today. And yes, every stream is going to have new goodies, so that's why you should always come back, because you get more goodies.
Absolutely. And what better way to learn the game, what better way to improve your skills in the game together with your friends than to watch exactly how the pros get it done. And not only do you learn from the teams that are doing it right, you also get to learn from the teams that are perhaps pulling in some strategies that don't really bring the fruits of their labor, because we clearly see them putting all of those efforts out there, Husky, but they're not converting it in terms of points.
Two of the members are currently in Freedom Rumble. I remember we were making fun of them because they were putting out really weird strats. They were like riding their vehicles into a full squad. They were like trying to circle around the compounds like so they were sharp.
Yeah.
And we were laughing at them at one point, right? Like, what are these guys doing? Like, I respect the idea, but it's not working out. And look where they are now in Freedom Rumble, one of the up and coming teams. Even though Freedom Rumble is still not at the top just yet, but it is an upgrade for them nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking...
When we're talking... Sorry, go on.
Gentlemen first.
No, don't do that to me. Ladies first, please.
I was just going to say this is going to be an upgrade in regards to a map hauler, right? Because we're going to be jumping into Kalahari next.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. And Kalahari, we've seen, right? It's just a little bit slower paced. Obviously, in the beginning, teams play a little bit cagey. It's going to be kind of, I expect more of the same in that sense. But, to Husky's point, Freedom Rumble, you were talking about just the fact that their team is a little inconsistent at times. You have Vegeta, who had, 7 kills in the first match, has kind of been shut out since. Now, are you looking for somebody who could just pop off like that? Or are you looking for the stable guy that's going to get the 2-3 kills every single match? What would you do in terms of building your own team?
I think for me, I think because the normal team dynamic is always you have a rusher and a support, right? For Freedom Rumble, I still feel like they're kind of lost because they have a lot of members who do the same thing, like Cobbs and Drax. They do the same thing. They are the rusher. Sometimes Vegeta does the same as well. So I think the dynamic for Freedom Rumble is just more towards aggression, which is why we always see them run into other teams and just straight up go for the fight regardless of the losses. It is a bad thing to a certain extent, but the good thing about Freedom Rumble is that because everyone thinks the same, they all commit the same, and that is what we love about the team.
Okay, so it looks like we're going to have match 4 underway. It's going to be starting off right now. Mustachio and Husky, please take it away.
Hey, all right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Almighty look like they might get stuck in a very, very tough position here. Command post, they go in for the pick. Thankfully, Views will back away from the position and drop in Refinery instead. Blacklist International will be sharing their drop zone with Freedom Rumble, so that doesn't look all too good. And if they do start a fight off early, Auto Knockout will be able to catch wind of those gunshots and, perhaps decide to drop in for a third party. Now, whether or not they do do come through will be decided based on all of those names on those kill boards there. Beautiful. Ramiel goes in for the slice. Irons gets taken down. One gets dropped as well. Now Ramiel on the ground. Are we going to be able to see Tanamo go in here for the pickup? He won't be able to pop the time turner just yet. Insanity will be dropping through to see if or not what sort of support he can be providing. Ramiel back on his feet now. XBR cannot brain. I cannot brain why they will continuously take these early engagements again and again and again when it just does not seem to work.
When you face off against PXG Radicals and in a hot drop situation, I guess there was no choice for them. But realistically, in a head-to-head, PXG Radicals.
Full of views.
Yeah.
Full of views, man. I mean, views saw Almighty and views are like, nope, we're not doing this. We are backing away, bro.
Yeah, but that was before they landed. Like it's different if you already like cut your parachute off, and I think that was where XPR was kind of caught in. PXG Radicals, they definitely needed that opener because they had a pretty underwhelming 3 rounds. Right, this is their last round of the week, so if anything, you would want to see PXG Radicals take over this final round. It will not put them in first place, but it will put them closer to that first place. Blacklist International and Freedom Rumble flanks the first shot in, and Orin, he's down, but they had the glue to bring him back up. And Freedom Rumble now, they kind of remind me of Blacklist International, a shadow of Blacklist International when it was still all about that baby Argon era, all about the aggression. Blacklist International have kind of moved away from that, implemented a bit of tactical prowess into it, which kind of didn't sit well every once in a while, right? We see them have bomb out every now and then, but Freedom Rumble, even though they play like what Blacklist International used to, it is still not showing the result that what we've seen in the first major. So I guess the lesson is you need to have the best of both. You need to have a balance of both.
Absolutely, man. Something has changed. Oh, beautiful nade from Cobra, Orin, as well as Apam dropped at the same time, and Blacklist International know that now is the best situation to go in here for the push. The delete will not come through. They are going in for a witch hunt. The other players get caught out. Cobra drops Vegeta, and now one final player gets taken out of the list, and Freedom Rumble have been shut down. Auto knockout not coming in to chip in at all. They want no part of this.
Like how I just jinxed that for Freedom Rumble. I am so sorry. I mean, Blacklist International definitely not happy that I was comparing, their youthful era, and they completely shut me down. That was a slap on my face. I wish I would gladly
display. Yeah, this display, Husky, reminds me of, what Blacklist International used to be before they got acquired. And I'm sorry, boys, it just seems like they've lost a little bit of their shine after they got a big brand signing them on, right? I don't know whether it has been a change in the method of coaching. I don't know whether the coach himself got replaced, but they need to bring back a little bit of that old side tenacity. And that's exactly what we just saw. Cobra opening things up as usual, being the guy who rains down the most of that trouble, right? Beautiful Kobe getting tossed in there. And now Blacklist International, they will have more questions asked because PXG very, very close to their area.
Yeah, I think we went through this a couple of times as well. Was it because of kind of the acquisition? Was it because teams were getting better? I still believe that it's just teams in general getting better at the game. Blacklist International at one point were running away with FFMC, but we saw other teams stepping up. So I think Blacklist International are still as good as they were. There were definitely changes to how they approach the games at certain points of time. But the core essence of Blacklist is still there. The core essence of that baby Argon is still within them. It's just how other teams are also showing their brand of flair. We are seeing how Blacklist, on the overall leaderboard, they're not doing too great, but they are still in that top 5 running, and that itself it is a good indicator of where Blacklist stands within the majority, and how they still have it in them.
Yeah, don't get me wrong though. I mean, because it's very contradictory for me to go out there and say I love this strat of playing it safe, go into the final zone, and then start kicking it off, taking those kills. And for me to then come out and say Blacklist International is not going in aggressive enough, because I feel like they are literally one of the only teams, apart from other squads like SAF, who can play that aggressive game and get away with it. They are like Team Fast Kill who can go in and bag all of those kills and yet survive as well all the way in there to the final zone. We are just not seeing that side of them. And if we do see a little bit of the old side of Blacklist International drop by, teams like SAF, AKO, yeah, they are not going to stand a chance at all, man. I feel like it's more of Blacklist International playing it really safe. I understand why they're doing it, but I feel like they'll benefit more from some of a little bit more creative positioning as okay, wait, let's put positioning away because they are absolutely immaculate in terms of positioning, but a little bit more guts in taking these fights because I know they can get it done.
Yeah, I think the conclusion out of this is more of like how Blacklist International back then, they were the first team who really showed us what it's like to run at people and get the kills. And then we're seeing a lot more teams doing it, and now Blacklist International felt like just another team. But they probably still are in the history books of pioneering that aggressive play, all because I think Cobra was the one that we sometimes just push everyone aside, but these supporting casts, they also pulled their weight, same as what Cobra did. It's just how Cobra was such a breakout performance that we couldn't take our eyes off of him. But now we're seeing a lot more teams having their own version of Cobra. We have Ray Meow for PXG, we have Ember Laureate and Alforte for Wheels, we have Mark for Bloody Head. These guys are really stepping it up. So Cobra, he might not have that same spotlight that he used to be, but you can be super sure that Blacklist International will still have that special spot in our hearts.
Yeah, and we've technically got Garena to thank for that as well. It's all about the balancing of the meta of the game, right? Because back then when Cobra was such a pain to deal with, the double vectors, bro. You turn left, you've got a double vector. You turn right, you've got a double vector. Everybody has a double vector, and it was just all about the CQCs.
The thing was, back then, we didn't even see much grenade usage. No one was going around throwing grenades to clear areas. People were just running at each other with double vectors, Like if you're not holding the vector akimbo, you're not the hype beast, you're not the cool kids, you're gonna be exiled. People will shoot you and they will make sure that you join the rest in the lobby. You have to have double vectors, and maybe that's why Cobra was shining like a diamond. And right now people are getting smarter. They're figuring out the usage of these utilities, and there are a lot more ways to just stop people like Cobra from getting away with murder.
Yeah, and in that same line of thought, I feel like now's the time for Almighty to shine, because Batman has been that one guy who has always had his snipes on point. Oh god, Ren getting taken down from afar. 4-bits now goes in for the quick strike, and this is not going to look good for the side of Almighty at all. But if Batman can step it up once again and pull that sniper out of nowhere, Shira goes down as well. 4-bit takes Ren out of the equation. Ren gets deleted. Almighty, it does not look good. SAF, we need to have eyes on that fight, Husky.
Yeah, I mean, as SAF, they just had the high ground. Almighty were trying to sneak by from below, but you will never escape the hawk eyes of 4-bits. Metrics also have their own problems to deal with. It's against PXG Radicals, and Tanamo will blow Ash up, and Rin OP will be the second to go down. As two fights happening across the map, it's gonna be Metrics falling prey to PXG and Almighty falling prey to SAF. The top dogs are starting to show up. SAF remaining where they are, but PXG are making a statement. Beauty. Going down, it's not gonna connect just yet. The second one also goes wide, but we can be super sure that Metrics is out.
Unfortunate for them, man. They got caught by PXG. They back away from their compound. Beautiful nade by McRory. Takes Jay-Z out of the equation. Almighty stuck in a similar situation as well. Back-to-back nades! And Jay-Z gets deleted! Now Batman all alone. Are we going to be able to see him turn things around? I believe he's got the grenade launcher in hand. No, he does not. Now let's go. Going in with McRory. If McRory alone is enough, Batman, he's just not going to be having a great day in here. Pulls the glue wall out for himself. Just to survive a little bit longer. Let's go, closing in the gap. Glue wall after glue wall. Batman just extending that lifeline for himself. What a play of survival. Let's go now. Still goes in for the snuff. Batman still alive with the glue wall play. What a turnaround. What a turnaround. And now Batman, time turner pulled out. McRory in here. Nade bits popped out. McRory goes in for the save. And 4-bits eliminates Batman. What a survival. Batman, the play of this this lobby for Almighty. SAF took the kill, but it was the game of numbers he couldn't overcome, bro.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, DC didn't inform us that Batman now has a grenade launcher, but I'm glad that we found out in such a manner. Unfortunately, like you mentioned, it was just a numbers game that was not in favor of Almighty. Definitely not the start that they wanted. I think even their first round wasn't the best. Almighty, we kind of saw this coming where they will have rounds where they just completely slip. This is one of it, but I guess because of how good SAF is playing right now, if you fall to SAF, it feels a bit more forgivable, right? Because you're literally against the best team. But I think for Almighty, it is definitely not enough. That could have been so much better. PXG Radicals though, 8 kills in the bag. The next might be Blacklist. Blacklist completely trapped. Look at all those days. Tanamo's gonna throw its own. It's not gonna land just yet. But Blacklist International are completely trapped. And Tanamo gets the rebound. The bounce onto the Clanks. And now with all the utilities pull out, PXG Radicals about to go in for the kill. As Tanamo leads the charge. He has 5 kills, but he wants more. The rest of PXG Radicals will come in like sharks swarming their prey. They smell blood. Manflag throws the blue wall on the wrong angle. They want to go in for the swing. Tanamo will get punished, but look at what Insanity and Barbara are doing. They're cleaning up shop. PXG, they do lose Tanamo. Barbara now down. Blacklist International fighting back. Insanity down Manflang, and they might just be able to do this. Blacklist International still have Clanks with them, and it's a 1 versus 1. Ray Meow will not be able to save his team, but he might be able to finish what they started. Clanks has to escape the blue zone, and Ray Meow has that angle.
Once again, at the end of the day, what did it cost? PXG managing to pull 9 kills away in total from this lobby, but now they just need to play that game of survival bonito with a beautiful nade on himself. Unfortunately for the guy, he cooks it up a little bit too long in his hands. Auto Knockout have got a great position here, but they need to play this safe because 20 more seconds is all they have to go in for the move. Do they want to gatekeep the side of PXG and end their round in here, or do they want to get stuck in a gunfight between themselves as well as SAF? Either way, I don't think it's a great idea. They need to focus on getting themselves to a safe spot. SAF taking the fight up against Views will be that perfect distraction that is required. But from behind, it will be Team Fastkill MY who makes that approach to third party the situation. And that might just be that golden call, that opportunity for SAF now to back away from this fight.
Yeah, SAF, they push Wheels into Fastkill and they let those two teams kill themselves, kill each other. I mean, SAF now, they're running away just like you said, but if there's any chance to third party, they're gonna do it. And now Wheels, they are handed Fastkill on the platter, and Fastkill, they will want to capitalize on the same thing. Aoki goes for the swing, finds Shark once more. Limit is gonna bleed out, but Aoki is tanking the blue zone. At the end of the day, it's gonna cost them everything. Wheels will die to the blue zone as Limit and Aoki expire to the game, as AKO Legends right now will have to deal with Umbrella Reborn. Orbit's gonna chip in from afar. Umbrella Reborn is under fire, but so is AKO.
PXG Radicals eliminated now. Umbrella Reborn still alive and kicking. AKO going to get kicked out as well. SAF taking out one by one all of their players. Rosso X has been eliminated already. Nga trying to top his health right back up, and he will be all safe and sound for the time being at the very least. Behind that boulder stands a team that will be able to snuff him out, but Nga has got that vantage point with him. SAF will be able to ask those questions first, which means Umbrella Reborn, they will be able to play a game of survival. But now that blue zone closing in, gonna force everybody in together. 4 X-Men Expert, Spade gets lost, 4-Bits gets taken down as well. That fight is gonna kick off, but 4 X-Men Expert stand in a position where they might be able to pick the booyah up for themselves as well, as McRory books a kill up for himself. McRory goes through, Rybel, now the next one in his crosshairs, gets deleted right through as well. SAF right behind, SAF Daemon trying to take advantage of this position, but he does not understand. He just walked right in front of McRory, and it is gonna be all out SAF.
Yeah, SAF, they're gonna go in for a kill. They've already pushed in. Oh, look at all these angles. They've got it all covered. First man expert, they're down to just one member, Goku. I'm not sure if he can do this. They do finally take out Daemon. Daemon was the one pushing, but let's go, gets another snipe. And Goku, he has to spend so much time. The grenade flying through. This might just be it. This might just be the bang that ends it all. 4 X-Men expert out, and it is just down to SAF alone. Just monopolizing the whole map. I don't think there's anyone left in the game. There's just one There's just one survivor from AKO. He has the high ground. It's gonna be Nga, but can't he do this though? SAF know where he is. It's only him and a tree. That blue zone is gonna start damaging him, and here comes the nade onto the high ground, and SAF have done it 2 in a row to close out their Sunday. SAF with their second booyah.
Oh, what a play by the one and only McRory this time round, picking up 6 kills in total. The Filipinos get it done 2 times in a row. Let's go, McRory, Toxic, Damon, as well as Forbits. Damon going in for the early approach, but big risk, big rewards at the end of the day. Damon did manage to go in and at the very least pull a quick distraction whilst the rest of the SAF players managed to play that vantage point and go in for the kills back to back. AKO could have taken advantage, but Nga was just not decisive enough. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's welcome back Danny as well as Holler to see exactly what they think of SAF's victory. Holler, my man, back to back.
Ooh, SAF, man. It's one thing that they can hit their shots, but you saw that, and you touched on this point. The fact that their positioning is amazing.
Yeah.
Right? They have the high ground. It makes it so easy it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You're gonna get your kills, and you're just gonna rack it up. So like every single time they were able to launch grenades on down, it was like I don't know. I don't even think it was fair. Like, what are they gonna do to the SAF? It's like they're raining in on you.
Yeah. And I think, Danny, that's exactly where the map play comes in, right? The map control, knowing exactly how to play your vantage points. You've pointed this out so many times in Season 1. We haven't stressed on it enough in Season 2 just yet, and SAF just played that to perfection.
Yeah, and I love the way that they approach the late game, especially when they know when to engage teams. I think the perfect scenario to talk about was basically when they're pushing other teams towards each other and saying, okay, you guys can fight, we'll deal with you later. And honestly, I just sat there and I was in awe at that decision making, because I don't think many other teams think that far ahead in terms of the late game. They think of the present, what's happening there and there, but they don't consider what's going to happen in the future. Is there anything that you can do now that's going to prolong your late game? And also another little thing, I noticed some teams get they're very trigger happy with their resources when they're coming to those last 1 to 2 circles. I think if the last team remaining wasn't SAF, I think Nga may have been able to out-survive them on the hill because SAF kept all their grenades. Other teams would have used that before that final circle.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did not expect grenades to come falling on him from the bottom, right? I mean, he thought he had that vantage point. And let's touch a little bit more on that, right, Danny? Because, Husky, we were witnessing that SAF, they were taking that fight up against Views, and out of nowhere comes Fast Kill MY, split-second decision. You stay and you take these kills because you know the blue zone is coming through. You know that you are SAF and you can gatekeep. But instead of getting greedy, they backed away, my friend.
That was the best part. I honestly felt like that was the best part of the game, aside from Batman's survival run. It was just so good. It was just SAF. They shot Wheels a couple of times. They saw Wheels backing off, and they were like, "All right, guys, let's pack up and leave. Let's cross the bridge before it's too late." And Wheels, they were backing off, and when they turned their back, they got shot by Fastkill, and then both teams ended up dying to the blue zone. So no one's the winner, no one's the wiser. It was just SAF all along. It was their master plan, to get the booyah at the end.
Yeah, it's similar to a situation where two nations are fighting for supremacy in a war, and there's a tsunami coming, but they're just so intent on killing each other, right? At the end of the day, you guys are all going to get wiped out. And, SAF just brought it all the way through. You make those right decisions, you back away, and you're going to be able to survive to fight a better battle. And something similar to what Bloody Heads did earlier on as well, except that they didn't have what SAF has, just absolute supreme mechanical ability to take all of these fights as well as win Holland.
And the teams are kind of adjusting to the SAF thing. I think that they see this as a freight train. There's no way of stopping it. They need to get out of the way. Woos has been playing very patiently. They're looking for placement points, just trying to secure as much as they can, realizing that, hey, SAF are cleaning up. We're just going to find the scraps when we can. AKO is another one that, hey, we don't want to deal with SAF. So we're going to figure out and just pick off the other teams, and hopefully SAF doesn't pick us off in the end.
SF has been a menace this entire day. This Sunday, people say it's a relaxing day, but when SAF is playing, it is nothing but nothing relaxing about it. It's not just SAF picking off teams one by one. It's that the fact that they're sticking their nose in businesses where they shouldn't No, they shouldn't be doing so. No, they're taking out AKO while AKO was fighting for X-Men Expert. They're just randomly shooting people from the high ground, and other teams just sit there thinking, like, what can we do about SAF? And we're just letting SAF run away with those rounds, but at the same time, we feel so helpless because SAF, they are somehow everywhere. No, they smell trouble, they will come in, and they will take everything from you.
Yes, 4 X-Men Expert just eliminated from that round as well. And this is the total standings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, at the end of that round. Danny, SAF, back to back, showing us that they can bring that consistency through.
I'm not even surprised anymore. I think we should just come into the broadcast and just expect SAF to dominate their games. Yes, they were a little lackluster during their first 2 games, but if they're going to finish up B and C matches like this, I think at this point we just have to accept the fact that SAF is going to be first. Who's coming second? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, PXG Radicals, I mean, they did really great for themselves. AKO, 4 X-Men Expert, Blacklist International, these are names that we expected to see up there at the top. But once again, let's highlight a little bit of what Umbrella Reborn managed to do in here. They understand where they are good and, where they need to, patch up a little bit more. They don't go in for those aggressive fights, but they manage to pull those placement points for themselves. Albeit it's just 8, it's definitely going to do a lot of good for them as they continue rising up the board.
It's all about baby steps, right?
Yeah.
And we've seen Umbrella making some good steps towards progress. This is what you want to do. I think the only takeaway and the only good thing about SAF and just moving forward with today is that SAF are not going to be playing in the next set of matches, which is going to be A versus C. So they're done for the day. I'm sick of talking about them. We're going to get some new teams, hopefully some new booyahs, but that's going to be coming up. So I'm really looking forward to that because, again, SAF, you've done your job. Go home. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I want to see what can 4 X-Men Expert as well as, teams like Metrics, Views especially. They've been stepping it up very recently. But, today, it's all about consistency. Just what Zeth has shown us, just what, the side of Blacklist International at times, right? But now we get to see Zeth coming back. They started off the day great. Let's see if or not they can continue it against Team C.
All right, so it looks like A versus C is coming up. It's going to be coming up very soon. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Dia secepil saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya bagi pada Gotan. Kita lihat kali ini. Sedikit lagi. Berjaya menjatuhkan. Last minute itu. Ada ke wow. Gila X-Men Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan akhirnya mengenai 3 player 4 X-Men Expert. Dan kita lihat bagaimana Berari menguasai kawasan. Di atas 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Fakir Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba depan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes sebagai jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 skuad saja lagi tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels dah bloody sekarang. Barai double play tadi dilakukan oleh wah, itu dah knock berjaya meratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan bloody sebentar tadi.
Triple kill. Shut down. Quadruple kill. Quadruple kill.
dia secepil saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya bagi kepada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini.
Sedikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan. Last minute itu. Ada ke wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi, tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan ada mengenai 3 player for expert. Dan kita
Hello and welcome back to Day 3 of the MCP Majors Season 2. We've seen supreme domination from SAF. Are you sick of talking about SAF, or is it just me, Danielle?
I think last round what ended up happening was I was so sick of SAF that I muted myself and I completely forgot.
I feel like,
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be thinking like, okay, enough with the SAF because there are other teams playing in the league, so I don't blame them. I'm in the same boat. Yes, they're a very strong team, but we're going to let them go. We'll talk about them again next week because they're basically done for the rest of today. So this means the spotlight is now going to be on groups A and C. And this is a pretty big moment for these teams as well because now that SAF is out of the picture, firstly, the Booyah spot is now up for grabs. Before that was reserved for SAF, not anymore. And now you don't have to worry about a big team like SAF. Of course, there are other big teams as well, but I just feel like you cannot count them out if they're playing in your bracket.
Mm-hmm. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Group A back into the mix. Argon, Dooeasy, Zeth, Bloodyhead, Enigmax, Tactical Intex, all of these teams have had some sort of peaks, at least for today. Maybe not as much, at least in terms of Enigmax, but all of these other teams have really been playing better. They've been getting their kills. They're making sure that their name has been, called out for because they're making plays, right? And they're trying to get into it, and they need to get back into it because of the fact that they're on the bottom looking up. They need to be back into this one. That said, Almighty is another one that we hyped up a lot going into today. They've been somewhat average, mediocre, if anything, not to the typical standard that we saw from Almighty. So that's another team that we need to be looking for going into Group A versus.
Yeah. Actually, hold on. I wanted to ask you your opinion about this, right? Because AJ asked us during the beginning of, I think it was the beginning of was it A versus B? Maybe it was B versus C. I remember him asking us if Group A is Group B's kryptonite. Now, the thing is, would we say that after Group A's performance against Group B, are they actually going to show up today versus Group C?
To be honest, I have a hard time putting Group A to anyone's kryptonite right now. I feel like they're their own kryptonite in the sense that they're kind of, sabotaging each other and everything. But let's look at the standings and see exactly where we're kind of playing. Mind you, Group A has not had, Group A and C haven't had 2 games in, so this is going to be quite inflated towards Group B, and you're seeing that with this monster score of 253. We're not even going to say the name because we know their name. AKO Legend, PXG. Those 2 teams are done, so we won't be hearing much of them, but it's for the rest of them. Blacklist International, this is the time. 4X-Men Expert, now is the time to get yourself back into this one. Woos, you haven't had a great day as well. Step it up. This is the time.
Yeah, and if they can't pull it through today, I think at this rate, everyone's just going to have to forfeit that first place. I just don't see any team being able to easily catch up to SAF because, of course, it's only 2 rounds. So in essence, the absolute maximum a team could probably pull in for a single round is, I'm going to say, 30 points. Okay? I mean, we've seen it in the past before. A team has pulled it out before, but again, that's very rare. So assuming a team pulls out 2 magical runs, grabs 60 points, they're still not even close to SAF. So
it's a bit crazy right there. And I think you have different tiers, right? SAF is in its own tier. I think that you're going to have the middle tier with like the Blacklist Internationals,
everybody
the PXGs. No, not everybody else, because there's definitely different areas, different segments. I would say that there's about 4 tiers just going into the standings. That one is already passed. But I think that, the fight for 11th and 12th is very much in the air. Right, it's a never say die. You need to make sure that you have that confidence going in and just continue to push on because you still have that chance. You know what I mean? 11th and 12th is just wide open.
It is. I mean, Bloodyhead, even though they're sitting in 13th place, they're only 3 points away from that 12th spot. So Bloodyhead's pretty close. Umbrella Reborn, especially after their performance today, they caught up as well. They're very, very close to potentially taking that 12th spot. Argon MY is starting to get a little bit far because they're 75 compared to the 90 of Zeth Squad.
All right, but we're going to find out what happens in this Group A versus Group C matchup. It's going to be Bermuda. AJ, Husky, take it away.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You are now tuning into the final two matches of the day, where we will find out whether or not Group A truly is the kryptonite, right, Husky? Because Zeth has managed to step it up. We've got Bloodyheads in here as well, not really hitting the mark in terms of the MCP Major Season 2, like they were hitting in Season 1, but they've got now an opportunity to secure the top 12 for themselves, because Bloodyheads, they not of their own doing, but they seem to have fallen one spot.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot to unpack and digest, just from both our hosts alone. But I feel like I'm watching the Hunger Games. Like people are just trying to squeeze into the 12th spot. Like everyone is just taking each other out. I do agree to what I believe Holler was saying early on, about how these teams are sabotaging each other instead of being in the kryptonite for other groups. And it's kind of the survival of the fittest at the end of the day. I think they are at the point at this stage where, is every man for themselves. Like if we don't make it, we want to make sure you don't make it. So they just end up having this internal warfare. And so far, Zef Squad and Tactical Intex are the ones winning out.
Yeah, and we just need to be a little careful that same mentality doesn't, break off within the team itself, right? Where each and every single individual player tries to step it up and see if or not they can be the MVP of their team, because they get the biggest number of frags, the highest number of frags. It's not about those skills in terms of, a competition between those team members. Overall is exactly what counts. So hopefully we can see a little bit more synergy as well as teamwork moving in here for some of these squads, Sasuke.
Oh man, I do feel pretty nervous. Like in a sense where I look at Group A and I have this very crazy thought, because we have 3 groups of 6, right? Can you imagine if we go into the grand finals and all the teams from Group A somehow didn't make it? That would be kind of the craziest major ever. Even though it's just Season 2, but that would be history on its own. So if there's any time for them to make a stand for themselves before the mid-league shuffle, this is it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I feel like those teams that will be most probably making that cut would be Z Squad, Bloodyhead, as well as Argon MY, right? They technically are sticking beside each other at the very moment. Hopefully, they will be able to continuously climb up. Of course, Argon MY not as close as where they want to be from the start of the day. Umbrella has been stepping it up. But Do Easy, it's not a situation they want to get caught in very, very early on. Metrics now playing Ring Around the Rosie. What a takedown by Jemba. Beautiful stuff coming out here.
Oh, Metrics taking on Do Easy, but Rin OP. Good shot on the Jemba. They just got bias back up. But Do Easy, they have their buddies covered, and just number-wise, Do Easy just have that advantage. And Metrics are unfortunately just not able to do too much. But Ash, he's not going to give up. He downs by it once more. And this is just the beginning of the round, so there's not much resources for both teams to go around. If you get knocked down, if you get injured, you will stay that way for a very long time. But considering how Do Easy already got 2 kills, Metrics have been severely crippled.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And this is a very, very important fight for Do Easy. They are currently sitting down in the 17th position, 30 points in total. They cannot afford to get taken down early. Bloodyheads understand the same situation as well, and they try to snuff out Argon MY, who already has XZR out of this game. Bloodyheads have got a great compound on them, and the rest of the Argon MY players, they are spreading out and trying to get away from Pochinok as fast as possible, Aske.
And that is probably the better decision than to fight a losing battle, right? Argon MY, if I remember correctly, yesterday they did have a pretty decent round. It's definitely not enough to bring them into top 12 because last we checked the overall rankings, they were ranked 15 with 75 points and 12 plays. They need 15 points to be even with Z Squad in 12 plays. So Argon still has a lot of work to do, but Do Easy at the same time, they still are fighting against Metrics. And in fact, I think Metrics, they're going to make their last stand here.
What a play.
And that last stand might just be it. Do Easy. They end up wiping Metrics and they do not lose anyone.
Now, I understand the ideation coming in here from Metrics, where they try to take these fights one by one. But, you know, you were already in a situation where the numbers were overwhelming. You know you're not going to win that fight against Do Easy. You don't have the mechanical capability to get that completed, as you have found out in the past. But I guess they underestimated the side of Do Easy just because Do Easy was below them in terms of ranking, right? And when you underestimate a team, that's exactly what breaks down. Do Easy winning that fight, they will be able to continue on in this matchup. Enigmax, on the other hand, moving in from Bima Sakti Strip. At the very moment, they're not going to be disturbed by anyone else at all, and all of this space is for them to go in and loot up. The closest one to them is going to be Views, but Views is going to be quite busy looting up Catalystiwa as well as Plantation.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Views actually got out without a single casualty because they were sharing Sentosa, right? We saw them in match number 4 where that was their common drop spot. And Wills this time made some adjustments. They got out, but they are pretty spread out. At least one of their members is on the other side of the map. So hopefully that is not going to bite them in the back. We went through this every now and then. That in a game like Free Fire, I understand the idea of scouting, but just the how the game was designed is not meant for you to just run out there and have a lot of ways to back off if you don't have utilities. So if you get caught out like that, you're most likely going to lose your life. So do you really want to do these kind of scouting? I personally don't like it too much, despite the benefits that it might bring.
Yeah, I cannot help but agree with you, Husky. I mean, you need to plan some of these encounters a little bit better. Almighty now taking the fight up against Blacklist International. Is this a little bit of sweet revenge that we have on our hands here? Ren taking the shots up against Cobra. If they are able to drop the most venomous players of Blacklist International, maybe Almighty will be able to take that as a great momentum to pick up that number 1 spot, that booyah this time around. The flank being set up by the players off the side of Almighty, trying to catch Cobra off guard. And they will be able to do that, forcing Cobra out of his defense. What a shot! What a response from Cobra as he drops Ren!
Well, I tell you, man, Cobra is he is venomous as always. But Batman just shut him down. And y'all forgot about Batman, but if he's around with the sniper, he will be able to answer back. So Cobra put down. Unfortunately, I mean Batman has been evolving too much, you know. He's learning a lot. He's learning the ropes of the game. He's learning a lot. Just like, this is not the Batman we once know. This is not the Batman that relies on, you know, battle ranks and grappling hook. This Batman uses actual weapons.
Oh, Clank's trying to take the flank here, but Jay-Z has full information of what he is trying to pull off. Goes in here for the quick crouch approach. If Jay-Z manages to catch Clanks out of position here, it is the end of Blacklist International. Now, I believe Clanks has got vision on him. He will be able to respond accordingly. Jay-Z might not be able to catch him off guard. Clanks right in front of Jay-Z. Goes in for the shot. Time turner pulled out, but Jay-Z a little bit too slow. But unfortunately for Clanks, he's out in the open, pulls out a double glue wall for himself. Clanks comes out of nowhere, goes in for the push, and it's going to be Ren taken down as well. Batman, Shira tries to bring in a little bit of support, will be able to pick Ren right back up.
Oh no!
Almighty still in here for the fight, but Ajim comes in for the drop. Beautiful plays for Blacklist International, but they are running out of time here.
Oh, Shira, his glue wall killed Ren, and now he's going to be taken down. A bit of a mistake from Almighty will cost them more than they bargained for. And Batman, he had no choice but to get away. A slightly fatal mistake from Shira. He wanted to seal Ren with him, but he ended up isolating Ren and feeding him to Blacklist International. And because of that, Blacklist International wipes out Almighty. But all started with Clanks on that flank. Enigmax now on the other side of the map. They take on Do Easy once more as they struggle to make an impact, but they are going to start off on the right foot. Apan will be down, and that's going to allow Enigmax to slowly push on forward. Genbao has that nade cooked up. Is it going to connect though? The nade from Enigmax bounces off the time turner, but the one from Genbao will land onto Vito, and that will even out the playfield, at least for now. They bring Vito back up, and Enigmax, they will resume this assault onto Too Easy.
Oh, beautiful plays coming in here. Slumber with the toss of the nade as well. Jembal's going to get taken down. Either way, V2 goes in to close the gap between himself as well as the other players. V2 now gets knocked by Bayet, who anticipates this move. Do Easy not stuck in a great position here. Lonsum goes in for the delete onto Ipan, and this is an unfortunate situation for the side of Enigmax as well, because they've gone in for the full-on commit for this fight. They cannot back away. Questions being asked, but Slumber ends it by ending Bayet.
And Do Easy did not find their footing at all. Enigmax, they suffered one death, but look at the greater picture, the bigger picture. Enigmax will definitely take this win. They needed to rack up those kills. Before this round, Enigmax only had 9 kills. 9 kills out of 14, not looking good at all. Fascu MY found the easy prey in the form of Argon. MY, Me is now down. Fascu MY, they're just going to make quick work of Argon Malaysia, knowing that Piero is the only member left. Pedro, excuse me, is the only member left of Argon Malaysia. So he'll just have to back off, and he does make it to Pochi out, but the rest of his team will be taken out.
I just wish we could have, caught the starting of that fight, because I'm wondering exactly how or what made Argon MY think that the other side of that particular barricade was the better side, right? And now Fast Kill MY, look at them just flying through, try to catch up, and they are going in here for the finisher. So Argon MY, the final player, Pedro, better be watching out, man. Fast Kill, though, they are playing with fire. They hold on to the edge of that blue zone as it forces them in now. Just going around, flanking around that final player from Argon MY, moving into Factory, where they will come across 4 X-Men Expert, and they might just get outnumbered by this setup right now for X-Men Expert. It's a one-on-one situation from that player coming in from Fast Kill. Let's see exactly who dies first.
Yeah, and Enigmax, they have found themselves in a very comfortable spot, at least for now. So you can expect them to just plant themselves here and not make too much moves. You don't want to just expose yourself and take those risks. For X-Men Expert, they do see Fascu and Y just passing through, so they would set those vehicles ablaze with their weaponry. And now it's going to be Forest Man Expert trying to go on the aggressive Spade. He is scouting around, so they know they have a chance against Fascu MY. And look at that, Fascu MY really want to get away. And Forest Man Expert, they're just making sure that they stop the mobility from their enemies. But you can see that the approach is still very tactical from Forest Man Expert. They are slowly isolating Fascu MY. But Zeth, here they come, the third party into this show. They're going to actually just run straight into Fascu MY.
Yeah, but this is such a risky play, man. And once again, I hate it when the sports cars are used in that battlefield, because, the motorcycle is a much better option. The smaller hitbox allows you to get that mobility that you desperately want out of these vehicles and survive a little bit longer as well. Sports car, on the other hand, gets taken down a little bit too easily. And once that car explodes out there in the open, you've got nowhere else to run. Type 64 now getting deleted right the way through. Spade drops Blade as well and immediately deletes him. Zeth, they do not understand that 4 X-Men Expert were just built differently, Husky.
Yeah, and they stay a bit too long. They had that chance to get away, but they decided that they want to circle around the area for a bit longer, and that became their undoing. 4 X-Men Expert picks up 2 easy kills. If you're Fascu MY, you're going to be happy with that Zeth became the scapegoat in that encounter. 4 X-Men Expert now, they will continue to rotate into the circle, and this is gonna allow them to recover as well off of the resources of the fallen members from Zeth.
Yeah, they've got the drone in there as well. So in terms of positioning, they should be the masters of that area at the very least. Views, on the other hand, will be able to gatekeep Zeth if they come anywhere closer to their compound. It's not looking like, any one of these teams have got a great area for themselves. A double glue wall being pulled out by Yun here just to make sure he doesn't get snuffed out. And he jumps onto the bike, which is already on fire. Doesn't seem to be the best of ideas. And he rides it straight towards the players of 4 X-Men Expert. What is he even thinking? Monito now going in for the approach. Might be able to catch Jabat off guard. And the approach will be perfect for Monito. Jabat goes down. Oh no, gets away in the nick of time. Monito weighs a glue wall for himself. But this approach on for Team Fast Kill might just be enough. Monito now caught off guard. Rival comes through. Gets the Vector out. Goes in for the delete immediately. For X-Men Expert. Finishes Fast Kill MY. Why did they even think that was a good idea, Husky?
Oh no, Fast Kill MY, not like this. That was never going to work out. There was no way. And you know what the funniest thing was? They were pushing into the blue zone. There was no reason for them to take that fight. They could have backed off. Let the blue zone push for X-Men Expert in. Then you take them out while they were running away from danger. But there was no incentive. What was the game plan? I mean, Fast Kill MY, they want to get those kills, but they didn't even have to do that. And because of that, now Forest Man Expert, they got the kills that they need. They are certainly going to be happy that just now they were not able to take out Fastkill. Instead, they got Zeph Squad in return. Now Fastkill comes back and feeds themselves over. This is a huge mistake from Fastkill and MY for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, they just remind me of Group B just when I was trying to forget about Group B, because I cannot brain why they would think that would be a great idea, right? They literally drove to their deaths. Views now trying to get a angle onto the players from Enigmax, and I think it is quite a great position for them to hold on to. Either way, I don't think Views will need to go on the move for the next zone, but my guess is just as good as yours. Enigmax, on the other hand, they are flirting with the edge of the zone, so they might be in a little bit of trouble. As they take this fight, they need to figure out what's their path going to look like with those glue wall plays to save themselves, because Views will be able to ask very, very tough questions with those snipes.
Yeah, Views so far have been pretty quiet, and I think you know, judging from what we know about this team, they have this very hot and cold period, right? Sometimes they just go out, they come out the gate swinging. Sometimes they are quiet throughout the first few phases, and suddenly they just bust out the door, guns blazing. And in this case, I think Views, they are just biding their time, waiting for that opportunity to strike. Blacklist International kind of have to do the same. They have Argon and White behind them. If Blacklist International don't pay attention, Pedro might be able to punish them. But Pedro, he's tagging the blue zone, and I think Blacklist International smells something is off. In fact, Manflang has his sight on Pedro, and that's going to be Argon and White eliminated.
Dude, that is dirty, bro. Ajib, how could you do that to Pedro, bro? He was hurting. The blue zone was killing the guy, and he just snuffed him out with one bullet. Absolutely dirty, and I love it. It's gonna be Enigmax, right?
I like how Pedro was trying to like prone and crawl, and when the moment he prone, he got killed, so he just fell flat and disappeared.
Unfortunate, man. Now 4X-Men Expert going to be holding on to a great angle here. Blacklist International definitely in trouble. 4X-Men Expert, they take the aggressive move. Jabat gets taken down. Beautiful place by Manflag, but he hasn't gone in for the delete just yet. Ajim gets taken down, and Goku is there for the backup. 4X-Men Expert on the top of the board now as they eliminate the side of Blacklist International. But they have to start moving in a little bit more. They have to play the map. They have to play the zone, because their position, although it gives them the vantage point, they do not have the edge of the next zone just yet, Husky.
Yeah, they definitely are still out in the open, but thankfully, since they cleared that area, Morgana with a huge nade, bloody hit, takes out everyone. Man, my bloody hit, now they're gonna put themselves in almost the same position as Forest Man Expert. Pretty comfortable. Forest Man Expert will come in from the southern side. Bima Sakti Strip is where it all began for Bermuda, and is where it will all end. Let's see where the last circle is going to be, as Wills, you can find yourself on the second floor, but that circle moves away from all these teams, and Aoki Plaza and Belora is going to take out Enigmax. Two of the members from EMG, they're already down, as Wills should be able to navigate this area slightly better. Morgana will find Spade off screen as Bloody Hate now will have a chance to take on 4X-Men Expert.
Okay, now Bloody Heads, they have got a great compound for X-Men Expert. Unfortunately for them, they are closer to the edge of that zone, which means Bloody Heads will be able to continuously shoot at them later on once that zone starts moving, and perhaps depend on a little bit of the damage that the blue zone delivers onto the players of 4 X-Men Expert. It's going to just be pure chaos. Just when I was about to say that 4 X-Men Expert has got the better position in this game, mainly because all of the other teams are across the map, Bloody Heads are making it so tough for them. And now this is that situation where the blue zone will be asking those questions. 4 X-Men Expert will have those questions asked by Bloody Heads, going in for the snuff. But Bloody Heads, they need to move in as well. They cannot make the tough mistake that Views made for themselves. Team Fastkill, they paid a high price. Goku try to play a game of survival. Blue zone as well as those glue walls. Mount as well as ZJ getting taken down. ITX out of nowhere. They go in and chip in as well. Maute, he is about to get deleted. Mark and Morgana trying to stay alive. ITX, 4 X-Men Expert have been eliminated, and it's going to be ITX that comes out of this alive. Bloody Head get taken down as well.
Oh, ITX, they've been hiding that entire time, and now they're gonna get a standoff between them and Wheels. And Limit is gonna go straight in for the push alongside our Forte ITX. This is the best chance at redemption. Can they redo this? Now it's run into the time zone with the double backstep, and he gets knocked down as well. Limit is still pretty healthy. A tactical index, they fall at the end. And Wheels will be the survivor. ITS came close, but Wheels will finish it. And this is a booyahs for the team.
Yeah, this is the team that I said we need to look out for. View stepping it up, pulling in the booyah for themselves once again. But ITX out of nowhere, Husky, ended the round, ended the run for both Bloody Heads as well as 4 X-Men Expert with their unexpected interference in that fight.
Yeah, they were hiding there the entire time.
Crazy.
I bet you that no one expected ITX to just show up and take over. Yeah, sure, they didn't, end up getting the booyah, but it was good nonetheless for ITX, the team that needed to step up their game to make it into the top. Well, they are already in top 12 to further their lead. Same as Wheels as well in 7th place currently. But let's welcome back both Danalee and Holler and see what they had to think about it. We saw ITX pop off, we saw Wheels pop off. Welcome back, guys.
I was sitting there praying, okay, is this Bloody Heads time to shine? Okay, I was thinking AJ's gonna get so excited, it's gonna be Bloody Heads, and then the inevitable happened. Firstly, they got picked off. Secondly, I think something that they kind of forgot about was how many glue walls they had, because they effectively ran out. And without the glue walls, especially when you're coming into a circle like that where there's very little cover, if you don't have glue walls, you are basically just putting the nail in your own coffin. You're saying, all right, guys, we are sitting ducks. We have nothing to hide behind. Like, you can't hide behind your teammates, can you?
Yeah, absolutely, Holler. We saw a similar situation where, a majority of the nades that SAF had in the previous game as well, they kept it for that very final battle, right? And Bloody Heads just needs to learn a little bit from this, because just like what Danny mentioned moments ago, you don't have that glue wall. You literally have no defense at all, Holler. And it's literally, you are a sitting duck on that field.
It felt like the teams were able to just kind of pick up whatever they wanted. Like SAF is like the ultimate looter. Like, they have all the utility, they take everything. But seeing as that they're off the map and they're not playing in this group stage, it seemed like a lot of the teams just had that opportunity. Now, Ruse was one of those teams that didn't have the greatest of 2 matches to start things off, and they actually kind of slowed things down. They started aggressive, they went more passively, they had 0 kills, probably about 12 or so minutes or so, and then they were able to just find off pickoffs. Like, that was the biggest thing. Embalor just really turned it on. This Woo's team was just looking to just survive to the late game, find what they can, scavenge as much as they can, and they ended up pulling it off, getting that boost.
Yeah, this was an early waste by Metrics, and I like what Cobra pulled off there with his response, but I feel like he could have played it slightly better. I mean, at that very moment, the biggest importance for the side of Blacklist International was survival. But instead of the other members stepping out of their compound to make sure Cobra survives, Cobra was the one that stepped out of his own defense and he went in for that first shot. They just couldn't capitalize on that at all, and that was one of the biggest ways for Blacklist International in this matchup.
This one is the biggest waste for Fastkill, and why they took probably one of the worst fights in today. against Forestman Expert, they essentially just decided to give Forestman Expert the 4 points, right? There was nothing for them to lose. There was nothing for them to gain out of it. In fact, they were in a better position than Forestman Expert. So I think Vasco NY made a poor judgment call for sure. But no, back to your point about Cobra, AJ. That's the Cobra we first saw. That is the Cobra we love.
Yes.
He holds his own. Like, he has a baby face, but don't get fooled. This guy does everything on his own.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
So it's the little tiny snakes that are actually the poisonous, not the big ones. All right, so taking a look at our round standings for this round, of course, we was going to be sitting on a very nice 22 points. They've got to be so happy with their performance this round. This, I feel like, is much needed points for Wheels, but considering that the team has played not so great today, I think is the best way to put it. They've been outshone by a lot of the other teams, but I am glad that they get those 22 points. It's also going to be denying those points to some of the other teams that are chasing for that top bracket.
Yeah, for example, Blacklist International, they were on the hunt for, at the very least, picking up that number 3 or number 2 spot away from AKO or PXG. And that's going to be very tough, right? If Views continuously step it up, if 4X-Men Expert can show us what they're made of, if Tactical Intex can show a little bit more of this prowess, it's all about those placement points together with some of those skills in the final zone, right? They're finally getting it done right. Bloody Head as well as ITX. If they can keep this up, guys, securing the top 12 is not going to be an issue at all.
And I love the fact that 4X-Men Expert has just really stepped it up. 8 kills is a sizable amount for the round. That is a great, kill count for you in that match. They need to continue to doing that, and it's not spreading the there are not too many other kills that the other teams can get. So if you're hoarding it with like Woos with 10, 4X-Men Expert with 8, I mean, there's not too many to go around. So you're just finding what you can. You're scavenging. You're trying to find those pickoffs, and it's very difficult to do.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about Almighty, right, Husky? They took that matchup, and what a way to allow Blacklist International to stand right back up. They got the perfect position onto taking Baby Argon out of, sorry, not Baby Argon, to taking the most poisonous little snake from the side of Blacklist International, but they just could not capitalize on that at all.
Yeah, it's more of Almighty. They started the fight, but they couldn't end it because Blacklist International, in that do or die situation, just played it better. And when we saw a slight mistake from, I believe, Shira, right? He put up a glue wall and he ended up isolating Ren and allowing Ren to go down. So these small errors really costed Almighty. I definitely wouldn't blame them too much because these errors, sometimes they do happen, and it's just not Almighty's day, at least for that round.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen so many of these fights so far, guys. Danny, what do you think about the strategy of taking these fights early like Almighty and, allowing it to go 50-50 versus being a team like Blacklist International who picks all of their fights? I mean, look at Blacklist International. Even down with 2 men, they still made it all the way into that final circle.
Well, it comes down to the team's confidence when it comes to these engagements, right? You can tell when a team is confident when they're fighting if they just run in and you can see that they have coordinated some kind of plan. You've got someone in the back lines to watch your back. You have someone on the side to try and catch extra vision around the corner. Like you can see that. You can see that. Whereas it really feels like with Almighty, it's very messy. You can see some coordination at times, but the team, I think the best way to describe it, they just really feel out of sync sometimes. And it really hurts their performance because they're getting needlessly picked off.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like we're going to go to match 6. This is going to be Kalahari. This is the last opportunity for Group A and Group C to be going at it. This is going to be the last match for today. AJ, Husky, please take it away.
Thank you very much, buddy. Husky, one final round for today. Let's see exactly which of these teams are going to be unfortunate. Zeth now flying out straight towards confinement, and Blacklist International just behind them. So as they try to make it in towards the next zone, that will definitely be a huge challenge for them. I love the confidence of Almighty, man. They go spreading out. And for the side of ITX as well as NEMAX, though, it's not going to be the best of situations nor drop zones for them to pick up. It's going to be early engagements and not a lot of loot in this area.
I think we've seen this before. I think we've seen this somewhere. And I think we've seen Argon Malaysia take on Views. They've already lost Pedro and me. So Sparks are next to R. essentially when you start on the round, you have
Oi!
nothing. Take down Aoki, but Spark instantly gets punished. And of course, XWar, he doesn't even want to deal with that. You got me in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. When you gave that intro, I was pumped. And then when you asked who's gonna be the bearer of bad, who's gonna be an unlucky team, I'm like, I think Argon MY is that unlucky team. But you know, I just had this cross my mind. When we were doing, you know, the post game for Game 5, we kind of talked about the numbers, right? Holler was pointing out the kills, and it got me thinking again. You know, we had this discussion during FFMC where the most standard amount of kills you want to have, ideally, is 8 kills. Anything above 8 is excellent. Anything below 8 is something that you can work on, right? Because you get a booyah and 8 kills, that's 20 points. And I think if you get 8 kills, even if you don't get the booyah, you've already proven that you have the capability to achieve more.
Yeah, absolutely. And we definitely understand that asking for those minimum 8 kills is kind of asking a lot from some of these squads in here who are having a definite tough time. But it's all about how you position yourselves in a situation where it makes those kills become very, very easy. Look at SAF, for example, right? Although we try to stray away from talking about them, we cannot help but take them in as an example. Talk about the loots, talk about their positioning, always in the best place to take those kills points, Husky.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of how the teams have been adapting to each other. I think SAF, they are at this stage where essentially Supreme Assault Forces is a symbol for being a cut above everyone else. So the question is, can other teams match up to SAF in terms of their CQC prowess? Can these guys handle their guns as good as the pack leaders? And I would say yes. Most of these teams have that potential. So the prime element that goes wrong in most situations is just how they approach the fight. It's more of the fight and less of the guns, I feel.
I absolutely agree with you, man. It is not about what happens in that moment itself. It's about the setup for that moment, right? And we most of the time see, or at the very least, we most of the times hope for those who already have that early access into a certain compound will be able to lock it down. And we, once again, unfortunately, have to take SAF as the perfect example. How they flush teams out of a compound. Those perfect Kobe nade throws just really, really get to my heart, man. It literally leaves the palm of their hands and moves right into my heart, because those are one of the best ways to open things up. And now Blacklist International, in the hands of Cobra as well, they've kind of shown us a little bit of those plays, but just not much of that consistency pulling through from their games.
Yeah, it definitely feels like so. You know, I wouldn't say that they Blacklist International is a one-hit wonder, because they definitely are not.
No, definitely not.
But
Yeah,
it's more of like consistency. It's just back to the very mundane term of consistency, and consistency. It's just you. Without that, regardless of how good you are, you just end up becoming nothing. Right? You're gonna fizzle into nothingness, and this is where they're gonna prove themselves, because bloody hit will be that contender. Not much space to work with, at least for Blacklist International. They're out in the open. But if you're bloody hit, once again back in command post, this is where they make their stand.
Yeah, earlier on, we saw them abandon their compound. This time around, they have a little bit more confidence. I believe it is because they have gone in there for the loot a little bit earlier than Blacklist International. Mechanically, I don't see them being able to snuff out all of the players from Blacklist International. But if they do get their angles right and their defense, they should be able to pull this off. Batman, even though he does not have that vantage point, manages to go in for a knock. And Jay-Z now going to be cooking up that nade. Zeth better see this coming. If they don't, they are going to get snuffed out. Beautiful plays by Zeth. They back away, and Jay-Z's not going to be able to ask a lot of those questions with the nade, and they will survive for a little bit more. Almighty's not going to get those easy kill points.
And what Jay-Z did is the best example of, if you want to scout, this is how you do it. He single-handedly exposed Zeth's squad's position. And the best part is, when you do something like that, you have to survive. Most teams do it, and they end up losing members. Jay-Z survived. Almighty came in, backed him up, and they even got a kill out of that. So it's a win-win situation. Which is why it's so hard to pull off. But bloody hit, Like we mentioned, we want to see them hold the fort, and it seems like they are doing so. So Blacklist International, they are not going to be able to move too far away from where they are right now without the help of blue walls. So it's going to be down to the circle to decide how this encounter is going to go next.
Yeah, Morgana's playing with fire, and I don't like the fact that he's going in to reposition himself, because this is just clearly out in the open, and Blacklist International will be able to catch you off guard. MTX, on the other hand, trying to get a better vantage point against the side of Enigmax, and they will be able to pull that off. The time turner pulled out by Manchai as he takes, as he tanks quite a number of these bullets out in the open. No place on the glue wall, mainly because he has got this tree here to block off most of those shots, using the bush in front of him as well, hopefully to give him a little bit of cover. V2 sees quite a number of those shots being sent towards him, but he survives for the time being. Enigmax, they don't look like they are in a great position, but the blue zone, though, is going to be giving them a hand here, Husky.
And they are going to take on Metrics, and Mantai will kind of get pushed. It's going to throw 3 glue walls. And yeah, he's gonna buy some time for himself, but the problem is how are you gonna get out of it? As Xbot 77 is gonna be knocked down, Rin OP gets rushed as well. Lonesome just blows him up close range. Metrics down to 2, and it seems like Enigmax might have just gotten this figured out. They're still not out of the hot water just yet, but at least for Enigmax, they know that they have the upper hand.
Yeah, they just turned this whole situation around so quick, and that's exactly what gives me so much of confidence in this team of Enigmax. V2, beautiful nade now being tossed up front, and you did talk about V2 a little bit earlier on in this competition. What crazy plays, man. Manchai might be able to go in for the knock on a couple of players, but if he wants to take advantage, he needs to get the delete as well. Players from the side of Enigmax now coming in for the snuff. V2 with those questions, and Manchai needs to get away, but with the shotgun, is able to bring in so much of challenge for the side, but V2 secures it with the vector.
Oh, Manchai almost 1v4 the entirety of Enigmax with that shotgun. He sealed himself with the glue wall, and he was able to pop out and kill and take 3 guys. So yeah, sure, he went down. He almost pulled off a clutch of his life, but he still ended up damaging Enigmax in the long run, and that is the least that you can do for yourself when you are in a disadvantaged position. So my props to Manchai, but with that being said, Metrics are out, Enigmax completely crippled. Wheels, on the other hand, they are still pretty healthy, and I think that they also just came off a fight where they were victorious.
Bloody heads now with their eyes sharp on ITX, a compound or a position held by ZJ. Not the best of spots to hold, if you ask me. I hate the watchtower, so open in terms of it receives nades very well and it keeps the nades there very well as well. And you have got nowhere to run. If you jump down, the numbers will overwhelm you. So hopefully ZJ has got that backup, because the only way you can play the watchtower is if you have the other players going in for the flank and protecting you when teams like ITX make that approach to snuff you out from that watchtower, Husky.
Yeah, and I think the watchtower is not the worst place to be in, but it's definitely a place where once the enemy gets the drop on you and you're exposed, that's where you have to make a very swift decision of how to carry on, because if you jump down, you're gonna get shot. If you pop your head up, you're gonna get shot as well. So and it's the worst place to do, because to deal with grenades, there's literally no cover for you unless you have the time to on the wall. So it's a very situational position to be in. But Almighty, they're gonna face off against Views.
Jay-Z forced to pull out his glue wall, double glue wall on top of everything else as Views goes in for the push. Batman takes Aoki out of the equation, but not deleted him just yet. And therefore, Views can pull off the time turner, pick him up, and then continue moving on in. But they understand that this compound is being shared with Almighty, and Jay-Z will be able to ask a couple of tough questions. Batman in here for that backup as the rest of those players from Views continuously place that pressure, but they have to be mindful as well. The blue zone is going to be pushing them in, and they do not have much of a compound to play with, but yet Jay-Z gets knocked down. Beautiful plays coming through from Views.
Yeah, the fact that Views had to run through a compound like that, downing Jay-Z is decent. They didn't get a kill, but at least they made it to a safe place. And in fact, I feel like Views, if they want to push Almighty, they can actually do so, because Almighty, they are now bolting for the circle. They know that there's not much time to work with, and Almighty now, they managed to successfully reposition themselves, and I thought Wheels would have done a bit more than that. I thought that they would have pushed the issue a bit more, but it seems like Almighty just made the better shot call, and now Wheels once more finds himself in a compromising position.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Check it out, man. This is going to be a situation where Do Easy might be able to perhaps capitalize on, but we will switch on over to Team Fastkill as they try to make it in towards the next zone. They have to be a little careful as well. 4 X-Men Expert on the lookout just outside of command post. And this is the part where usually pandemonium breaks out, right? Because the zone just gets ever so smaller. 11 of those squads compared to the 12 that initially jumped into this lobby, still alive and kicking. Command post is definitely going to be alive shortly.
It definitely does feel like it right now, because there's going to be a push into Almighty, of course, courtessy of Wheels. Our Forte just barrels through Jay-Z. Mandalorian is going to chip in as well. Ren goes down. Almighty losing 2 in the beginning, as Wheels will now take their time to clean now. And Almighty, even though they had the position, they were not prepared for Wheels, and this is what we like about Wheels. The Blue Zone is going to push them out of their compound, and Almighty, they might have lost 2, but it's time for retribution. They are looking at the bigger scheme of things. They are doing the planning just right. They might have sacrificed 2 of their members, but if they can wipe out Wheels, this is all going to be worth it. Almighty down with 3. Our Forte trap. The grenade bounces off the glue wall. Our Forte down to the Blue Zone, and this should be Almighty's fight to win.
At the end, was it worth it? Do Easy now. With the questions to ask of this situation, they have got the better vantage point, and Batman has got no angle at all. He is going to try to look for a quick flank onto the side of Jembal, who does have the glue wall popped up already. Now Nate being popped through. A quick response coming through from the side of Almighty as well. Jembal needs to place this absolute perfect, but he does not get the hits onto Batman, and Batman can't even pull those flanks off. Beautiful Nate placement coming through from Jembal, but Shira gets taken down, eliminated immediately. Batman as well. What crazy Kobe throws coming through from the side of Do Easy. They capitalize on that situation, and now they position themselves for the next zone as well.
Well done from Jembao. They know that Almighty had nowhere to go but up, and up is just not the direction that Almighty wants to proceed with. Enigmax also falls prey to tactical intakes, out in 9th place. Do Easy, this is probably one of the better runs that they had, because out of what we have seen so far, but the journey hasn't ended yet. We need more from Do Easy to convince us. ITX, on the other hand, they are doing just fine, and they're trying to push it, but all of the top dogs are going to be still in the game, and Fastkill MY is next on the list. That squad is out.
Oh, Z squad getting taken down here. Let's see exactly what else can be brought forth by these players, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. ITX, beautiful nade placement. FSK is going to be paying very high prices if they do not pull out the blue walls to protect themselves, and it seems like they've done just enough. Blacklist International, full squad. So far, 1 kill. They are playing the safe game. Hopefully, they will be able to get into that final zone as well, because Blacklist International now caught outside of the edge of the current zone, and the timer, 10 more seconds on there, and they have to fight for the opportunity in there, whilst Do Easy goes on to keep control of this particular zone, and they manage to catch Ajim. Beautiful place by Bayats, and it is just the grenade launches from the side of Do Easy that is going to be doing in the full of that Blacklist International squad in Husky.
And here comes Blacklist International. They're going to take the chance straight off with the time turner. Manflag jumping in, but he gets immediately sprayed down by Do Easy. Cobra fights to in return, and you can never, ever forget about Cobra, because he has just eliminated Do Easy all by himself. Manflang bleeds out, courtesy of Fastkill MY, because Blacklist International, they won't have any time to recover. This last zone is just too chaotic. ITX with a full squad alive. They see Bloody Head on top of that watchtower. Can Bloody Head really hold on? The Blue Zone is not going to favor them, as ITX once more sets up shop out in the open.
Yeah, too many teams in here. Just a couple of nades in combination should be able to take Bloody Heads out of the equation. And now Shark drops Argon out of the competition. But Mark positions himself to go in for the snuff onto Cobra. Shah takes that shot, deletes him as well. Bloody Heads, they are chipping in for this fight, but they shouldn't be allowed that chance at all. Nobody's focusing in on them, and it will be Blacklist International taken out of this equation. Now 3 more teams surviving in here. ITX with the survival, with the consistency, and they will be able to bring in all of those tremendous plays. Chad gets dropped and Zapnu gets taken out of the equation as well with the beautiful kill from Monito and fast kill MY. They bring in the as they pick up the final booyah of the day. But inconsistency will not allow them to rise up very far, Husky.
Well, first of all, I want to say that Fasco and White getting a booyah is definitely a breath of fresh air. It's something that a lot of us have been wanting to see, but at the back of our mind, we know that Fasco and White probably will not get it for a long time. But that last fight really did show what they are capable of. I'm surprised that ITX didn't win that round. I'm convinced that if it's any other team instead of ITX, that team might have won it because they have full control of the area. Everyone else was packed like sardines. ITX just did not have the experience to stick it through. But nonetheless, congratulations to Fasco and White for getting that last booyah of the Sunday. Let's bring back our two hosts, Danielle and Holler, and see what they have to think about that round.
Welcome back, guys.
That was a chaotic finish.
I expected Bloody Heads to be able to take a better fight, but then again, we kind of pointed this out already, Husky, holding on to the watchtower, not the best of positions, right? Because once you get in there, you have to stay put and start saying your prayers because a few nades can come flying in and you don't really get to bring in a lot of pressure onto the game as well. Because every time you stand up, you expose your head Holler.
Yeah, and you did. That's definitely what you don't want to do. Bloody heads, it's just like, I don't know if it's my bloody head or your bloody head, but I'm looking to kill you, right?
Yeah.
Nonetheless, another team that kind of stuck out to me was just Tactical Intex. The fact that these guys have been on the bottom looking up the entire time.
Yeah.
I saw tremendous growth from today.
Yes.
They were kind of in the conversation. They were being very, aggressive when they needed to be, and they really picked it up. I was quite impressed with that. And of course, Fast Kill MY. Do I need to say more when they've got the booyah, right?
We need to say more, Danny. I mean, where's the consistency from this squad? I mean, finally, yes, they picked the booyah up, but when's the next time we're going to be able to see them in action, Danny?
You're asking the wrong person. I'm not a prophet or a psychic or anything, so I cannot physically tell you when that's going to happen. But maybe this is just a step in the right direction for the team. They've got a booyah. It's going to help them emotionally move forward. The team's going to think, okay, guys, we have a chance. We can climb the leaderboard. But they also need to figure out, okay, what is it that worked out for us this time that we are not doing in our previous matches? And I feel like what they did in this round just now was be more patient. They didn't rush things. They didn't get trigger happy. They played it a little slower. It wasn't a complete standstill where they did nothing, but it was more of just them being very selective of what fights they wanted to take.
Yeah, absolutely. And clearly it paid off very, very well, Husky.
Yeah, they didn't get the booyah, but looking at the final sequence of that round, I am very content with what ITX has shown us so far. I'm not expecting them to win every single round for sure. It's just that we caught a glimpse of that chaos, right, from the bird's eye view, where you have Tactical Intex and you have, I think, Bloody Head, Fast Kill, MY, and another team that I don't remember, but they were like clumped up. They were trying to take each other out. Where you have ITX, they're setting up the glue walls. They were preparing for that final defense. It felt like the zombie apocalypse, and ITX were the survivors. Even though they fell to Fast Kill at the end, that presence of mind to prepare for this showdown was just brilliant from ITX.
Yeah, agreed, man. Agreed.
Did you think that the meta was kind of shifting? Because I feel like the teams have kind of taken a step back. They've taken the foot off the gas a little bit. They're trying to play, pick off what they can. Mustachio, what are your thoughts on that?
They have to, right? And they are learning it the hard way. And finally, we get to see a little bit of Cobra going in there for those very, very beautiful takedowns where he reigned supreme is those CQC combats when he could use his double vectors. And it's a situation where a lot of these teams, they already know a situation like that is not where you want to be. And so the snipers are stepping up. They're trying to take all of these fights before the vectors can come into play. And when the snipers cannot go in for the pop, we are seeing a lot of these grenades as well as the grenade launcher come in and make the difference in the game, right? So yeah, the meta has definitely changed and the meta has definitely shifted because these players do not want to give, teams like Blacklist International, CQC opportunities to take that snuff. And I absolutely love that, which is why we see the shift coming through the leaderboard as well.
Yeah, and I think the easiest way to describe the meta right now is that I think during the first season where Vector Akimbo was like the talk of the town, and you are only a cool kid if you have the double Vector, everyone was just playing CQC the entire game from start until end. The players would just run at each other and just see how much bullets they get into their opponent's bodies. But right now, the early phases is more of those looting phase, and then the mid game. During the rotation phase is where these people, they start these snipes, right? Most of the fights ended before we even get to CQC because of these long range snipes. We only get CQCs when there's a push or when the circle forces everyone to kind of cuddle together. So I'm liking the direction of this. It really shows us how much good snipers we have in the scene.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And which is why, we kind of discussed on this a little bit as well during the game itself, Husky, that, Garena brought in the balance of those other guns to be able to bring impact to the game as well, right? And it just makes way for so much more strategy rather than a run and gun gameplay, which just elevates the whole environment itself. Because clearly, I mean, they don't get the view that we get. They don't get to see, enough information as much as we do get to see. But clearly, when you strategize all of your moves in, you get the upper hand in these battles, Danny.
Actually, thank you for throwing it to me because I wanted to poke all of your brains a little bit. So this is going to be an open question. I'm going to get Hauler to answer first. If you don't want to answer, just pass. So we've had 2 weeks of these teams playing against each other, so we're starting to pick up a semblance of how the teams like to play, their general play styles, and we can even say there is a semblance of a meta. Are there any teams that we originally thought were going to be the kings of the tournament slowly falling down the power bracket?
It's a very good question. I mean, they had a lot of favorites going in. I think the invites were going to be in that one. But before we do that, hang on. Let's just go through the round standings real quick. Fast Kill Malaysia. We saw that with 19. Blacklist International, who I think is one of those teams that to answer your question, Danny, is that this is a team that we had high hopes for, right? Yeah. They had a somewhat bad day 2, but they've just nothing but picked it up in day 3 and 4. I really like Blacklist International moving forward. I see a lot of growth in that team.
Okay. Who's next?
If we're on the topic of a team that we initially expect to really dominate, and right now is not in that position, I think Blacklist International is one of those teams. Freedom Rumble again is still the team on my list that I sincerely believe they have the potential to do so, but there's still a lot more to be desired. But if we have to put these two teams side by side, I still think that I came into this major expecting Blacklist International and Freedom Rumble to lead the charge and probably followed by Wheels. But we're getting SAF, AKO Legends, and PXG Radicals instead. 3 completely different teams that were not on my initial list.
Yeah.
AJ?
Yeah, I was looking at 4 X-Men Expert, and it's just unfortunate because I got what I wanted, right? In the first week, 4 X-Men Expert, they were at the top. They were continuously bringing in the best of performance, but they seem to be lacking a little bit of that firepower now. But, 5th position's not all that too bad, I guess, Danny?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, we still have a couple more weeks to go, so it's not the end-all situation for these teams, but we did have a little bit of a bracket change here. It looks like, unfortunately for PXG Radicals, they're going to lose their 3rd place to Blacklist International. Now, AKO, they were very close to also losing their place, but Hauler, I think you pointed this out earlier on, that AKO and PXG, they've had a pretty lackluster day today.
Yeah, and actually the one I want to call out right now is Almighty. I think they gained 9 points all today. That's it. 9 points. Like, that's a disastrous day. They were what? I think they were 7th place going into today. They've dropped only 2 places, but you can't move up. You can't have a good day when you're only scoring 9 points. This is a team that I think that really needs to have that team meeting, that huddle, figure things out, and just, improve and maybe take some lessons or whatever it is with the coordination and communication, but something needs to change for Almighty.
SAF, they are starting to run away with the league for sure. I mean, they are very close to breaching that 100-point gap, 253. And then you look at 2nd place for AKO Legends is 178. I think SAF really has a potential to just tell everyone that you guys, I think, the best you guys can do is to see who gets second place, while we will enjoy the glory of first place. That's honestly what I'm thinking right now for SAF. But I do agree
Very
with Holler on the stance regarding Almighty. I think Almighty just they made me so happy yesterday, and today it was just kind of a punch in the guts because they could have done so much more.
Yeah, I was just gonna quickly mention that I feel running away with the league, it's an understatement for what SAF is currently doing. It's like they basically put 4 wheels on the bank and they're just driving away with the bank. Like there's nothing left for anyone else.
Yeah.
But AJ, did you want to add anything to that?
It was such a balanced day, right? I mean, we saw most of those brands from the second half of the leaderboards making it in, in terms of getting those kills, getting those placement points. But it seems to have balanced out at the end of the day. The leaderboard didn't really change all that too much. Yes, we do see a few swaps in terms of positioning, but what we are talking about 10 points from where AKO is, as well as 4 X-Men Expert. And that's not a lot at all. And this competition literally is still wide open for the taking for anyone in here, Danny.
Yeah,
That is true.
I just want to quickly point out, AJ, he made, several Avengers reference, right? Thanos, Gamora asking, what did it cost? And Thanos said everything. But Thanos was also looking for something while throughout his entire journey, and which is balance, right? And I think that is the best way to cap off this, at least for today. Balance,
absolutely,
in everything as it all should be. So it costs a lot, but I think we got what we want at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think the biggest winner here overall was SAF, because if anything, I think they just managed to extend their lead on the board, and all of the other teams, SAF's just there standing, clapping their hands. Yes, balance is good. Balance is good as long as we remain consistent and at the top.
I mean, they were at the top. They scored 76 points today. That's the most of any team in any day. That was it. They got 2 booyahs. This is a team that was on fire, that have more kills than even, any teams have in general. In the top, like the bottom 9 teams, they don't even have 123 points or whatever, however many kills they have.
Yeah.
But last thing, this is going to be the giveaway that we're going to have, the Duke Swallowtail AWM box. This is going to be the last code. Go redeem it now, not first come, first serve, but you're running out of time because the stream is about to end. We are closing up very, very soon. And once we do close, that code will not work. So please do redeem that as quickly as possible. Pass it to your teams. Make sure they get an opportunity to redeem this.
All right, so I do believe we're going to be closing out the stream in just a moment, but do we have any final words to close out week 2? Is there any surprises? Like, what did we as a casting quad? Is that what we are? A quartet?
We have a podcast.
Yeah.
That's a horrible pun.
But is there anything that really shocked us today?
A lot of just what we expected, pretty much. Like at the end of the day, just balance coming through. SAF dominant as usual. Once again, perhaps the only thing that can, knock them down a couple of notches is infraction through their own mistakes, or if they just start throwing magic.
Yeah, I'm not jinxing this.
I'm not jinxing it, man. I mean, it's all up to the players at the end of the day.
We AJ has a thing for that, like it happened once and he has never let go of it.
I want it to happen again, because it's like,
no, come on.
When you bring in teams like SAF, how else can you bring in a fair fight for that number 1 spot, man? They are just in a league of their own, and they're not letting anyone come close to them, Holler.
Yeah, not a chance. I mean, it's just how it is. The top 9, none of them changed. Yeah. Everybody's still in the top 9. You have a top tier and you got a lower tier, and that's kind of how things are stuck throughout. It's just kind of how things turned out, and unfortunately, that's the case. It was day 4. We saw a lot of good games. We saw a lot of domination from the top teams. These teams are all there. And we're going to be ending the day with a shout out to, of course, thanks for tuning in to all of our viewers. Let's give it to Husky, AJ, Danny, and Holler. And for all of you guys tuning in at home, thank you so much. We'll see you next week, same time, same place. We'll see you Saturday.
When we show up, we're bringing it strong. There's nothing that can beat us. Yeah, we heard it all before. That cheap talk can't defeat us. Step on my toes, I get in your face. Nobody's ever taken are champions. We'll be warriors tonight, and like warriors we'll fight. We'll be victorious tonight. We are champions. We're born for tonight. We're born for this fight. We'll be glorious tonight. We are champions. We'll be
Triple kill. Triple kill. Shut down. Quadra kill. Quadra kill.
Dia secermin saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya mereka pada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini.
Sedikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan last minute itu. Adakah wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi, tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan akhirnya mengenai 3 player full expert. Dan kita lihat bagaimana Berari menguasai kawasan di antara 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Faskil Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba terdepan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes sebagai jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 skuad saja lagi yang tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels dan Bloody sekarang. Barai double plate dilakukan oleh itu dah knock berjaya dimeratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan Bloody sebentar tadi.
Triple kill. Shut down. Quadra kill. Quadra kill.
Dia secermin saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan sampai berjaya mereka pada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini.
Sedikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan last minute itu. Adakah wow. Gila PSP Goku berjaya.
Terus oleh pasukan Argon. Kebangkitan yang sangat bergaya ditunjukkan oleh pasukan Argon sekarang ini. 6 kill akan menunjukkan strategi, tetapi kita lihat X2 dijatuhkan juga. Dan akhirnya mengenai 3 player full expert. Dan kita lihat bagaimana Berari menguasai kawasan di antara 4 pasukan Blacklist Cobra telah pun dijatuhkan. Kita lihat 3 Blacklist di depan kawan. Faskil Syah masih lagi bertahan. Cuba terdepan sekarang ini. Masih lagi di bawah. Sementara itu Hughes sebagai jabatan menyingkirkan Duizi Spade yang sebenarnya berjaya mendapatkan alih terakhir dan melepaskan Duizi terbaik ke-6. 5 skuad saja lagi yang tinggal sekarang ini.
Ya, Wheels dan Bloody sekarang. Barai double plate dilakukan oleh itu dah knock berjaya dimeratakan Wheels. Berjaya meratakan pihak lawan Bloody sebentar tadi.
Triple
dia secepat saja kiranya circle mengecil boleh mengganggu pergerakan mereka dan launcher diberikan dapat berjaya mereka pada Gotan. Itu kita lihat kali ini.
Sikit lagi.
Berjaya menjatuhkan last minute tu. Ada